Welcome, everyone, to another OSR tabletop. Let me just turn off the sound on the other feed. And always have to remember to do that. Welcome, everyone, to an OSR tabletop with myself, GM Bloodworth. I'll be talking about multiple games here. I got to change that graphic a little bit because I've been using GM much more often than DM. Let's see, we have 3 people following along already. So, hello, Jeff. How's it going? Good to see you here. Takato, hey, how's it going? I'm going to bring people in here earlier than normal because this is really an open mic. We're going to be talking about reoccurring controversies. And I'm going to have 2 that I'm going to bring up now. And that is going to be safety tools now a somewhat new reoccurring controversy is the use of AI as it relates to our hobby. And I'm going to go into my take on both of them a little bit, but I also want to leave plenty of room for people to jump in and talk as well and give their comments on it. So this is going to be a really well packed out one. I'm sorry about the, giving you less than 2 hours notice before doing this, but sometimes it's just unknown what my Sunday evening is going to look like. But I knew by 5 that I would have the time to jump in here at 7 o'clock and do this. So thanks everyone who is here. And we're going to jump right in. So let me just finish with the hellos to everyone here. So Death Angels, how's it going? Chthonic Musings, hey, how's it going? And I am going to put this, I'm going to put the invite out in a few minutes. So anyway, what prompted this was there's a YouTube channel I love, or I heart tabletop games, and I'll put the link in there as well. It's Eten runs that channel, and and very, very thought-provoking things. And recently, he started talking about safety tools, and his take on it was how the concept of safety tools has been taken in a direction that was not very useful or conducive. Yes, Eten, yes. And that is that whatever its initial intentions were, it became utilized as a bludgeon and used against anyone who was basically willing to, come out and say, well, I don't use safety tools at my table because, for a variety of reasons, my table is not unsafe for the people at my table. And so, and there's a variety of things. And I've spoken about this, and that's why I call this a recurring controversy, because I've spoken about this as I am getting ready for a convention in less than 3 weeks. I wanted to talk about how I run my tables at a convention, because it is a very different situation when you're running at conventions. So I'm definitely going to go into that detail. The other thing that has been coming up now, and it's been coming up for a little while now, so that's why I'm categorizing it as a reoccurring, is the use of AI. And AI is being used obviously for art. And now there is a movement among some publishing, games publishing companies that says, well, we are rejecting all AI art. We are only going to use human artists, and that's it. And they outright reject, and I don't think any, very, very few, if any, actually come out there and admit to or support the idea of using AI for creating written materials, with the exception of Wizards of the Coast that said we're going to use prompts from older Dungeons and Dragons materials from the past to make future content. And to me, that is, it's a different ballpark in my view of when you are taking something for you're using AI for writing as opposed to using AI for art. And one I say should never be done, and the other in very, very limited circumstances when I say that it's acceptable. But I'm leaving the mic open for all to come in. So I am going to go into that. And yeah, I mean, he just came out with another one. I mean, so he's been pretty much on a roll with a lot of these things, and I've noticed that he's pushing back on things that would have been accepted without question a few years ago, and so I think the pendulum has swung in the other direction, where some of these things are really getting pushed back on, and that, in my view, is a positive thing, because you know it's one thing to make suggestions and what we used to call in education best practices. We used to try to encourage teachers to utilize what teachers in that same license area, that same expertise. We used to say, well, these are the best practices for teaching this particular topic in U.S. history, let's say, from my own experience. And that's very much different than this is how you're going to teach. This is how you're going to teach this topic, and this is the materials that you're going to use, and do not deviate from this. Which is kind of what happened with safety tools, where it was like, well, no, you don't have the option to not use safety tools at your table in a convention. You must use some form of safety tools, and then I would even argue that they would go beyond that by saying, well, if you're using a safety tool but you're strongly discouraging from the players from actually utilizing them, then we're going to come at you over that as well. And like I said, it turned it into a suggestion, into a bludgeon. And I think that's where the issue of safety tools really took a turn for being a negative for the hobby in general. So that's kind of where I'm coming from on that particular issue. And I'm going to open up the floor in a second for you to come in if you wish to, or I'll certainly be taking a look at your chat to see if anyone's leaving comments in there on that particular issue. So let's see. How's it going, Off Grid? Hi, chat. I'm just stopping by. I've got about 30 minutes. All right. Well, hey, I will throw up the thing in there if you want to jump right in. So let's throw this in here. If you want to jump in, Off Grid, you're welcome to. If not, you just want to follow along in the chat, you can do that as well. He's actually had those same videos on his channel before. He took them down originally due to attacks from the woke mob in a hobby. Yes, like I said, I think that the pendulum has swung to the point that he's starting to realize, and I remember when he said that as well, that I think the pendulum is swinging in the other direction, where it's like, no, this is not what safety tools were really meant to be. Um, and just the recognition that, when people talk about like session zero, for example, session zero has always been around. We just never called it that. All right. But it was something that always took place because it's essentially common sense, right? So when when people come in and they're sitting down at your table, possibly for the first time, you're going to, as the dungeon master or the game master, going to tell them, this is the game that I'm going to be running. These are the books that you're going to be using in this game system. And this is kind of like the theme of what my world setting is going to be, and kind of a general idea of what the tone of the game is going to be. So if it's going to be very hardcore, where there's very limited resurrection, and you're dealing with low hit points and high mortality rate for certainly low level characters, that's going to kind of be the tone for this for this epic heroic adventure RPG campaign that I'm looking to run. You'll tell them what character classes they may or may not use. You'll tell them what character races they may or may not use. You're basically just talking about what they can expect as far as the game that you're delivering to them. You're also going to explain to them what your expectations for their behaviors at the table is going to be as well. This is all incorporated into what you would do in that first or maybe even two sessions before you actually start playing, to kind of get, and then in the interim between that first session when they're probably rolling up characters to actual play, in the interim days or if not weeks, in between, you're talking to your players and getting some sense of like where they're looking for the campaign and everything to go. That's all that has been done from the very, very beginning. All right. I started in 1978, 77, 78, somewhere in there. And I remember my dungeon master, my very first dungeon master, we were all 11 years old. He basically explained that this is what this game is going to be like, and you need to be very, very careful. Your characters can and probably will die while they're adventuring, and you just simply roll up a new character and we'll integrate that character into the game in some way. Um, my my second game master was or dungeon master was like, all right, this is my game now, and we're running it this way, and there's going to be no resurrection, and there's your character dies, your character is dead permanently, and that's the way we played it. I think when I started running AD&D, I was probably the first one to say, well, I'm going to start you off at maximum hit points at first level, and that was really the only real accommodation that I did at that point. We never limited character classes or character races or even alignments, back in that time. So you could play whatever you want, and you could run your character however you wanted to, but there was consequences to that, right? So we did have PvP, and it usually turned out really bad for anybody that was involved with it, both in the immediate and then even afterwards. There were always negative consequences that came from that too. So we often avoided that because there were so many consequences involved with it. So that was our understanding, and I have since adopted the concept of just telling the players that are new to my table. Let's say we're running advanced Dungeons and Dragons. I would tell my players everything that is in the player's handbook you have at your disposal. Everything that is in the Dungeon Master's Guide I may use, and everything that is in the Monster Manual you might encounter. All right. Now, I only run a table for adults, right? So everyone at least 13 and above. All right. So I run a table that is PG-13, and above. All right. So actually, let me retract that. I run a table that's PG-13. Yes, I will include slavery if that is part of the world lore, and the players are running their characters in opposition to slavery. They're never in support of it. They're always fighting these evils that are out there. And so, will they be slaughtering, the very famous, trope of, slaughtering the orc babies, the paladin in the group saying, uh, nits make lice, kind of comment. Yes, that has happened on occasion, but not often, and not so often that, and never, to the extent that I think it goes beyond PG-13. So if I'm running for 13 plus, and the game is basically PG-13, then everybody at the table, it's appropriate for what they're going to be encountered. I run nothing that is even approaching rated R. Uh, Unless I'm running a game system that is very, very specific. This is a rated R game. So um, if I'm running Mothership, for example, Mothership is a aliens, the movie Aliens type, uh, eldritch horror space, survival game. Yes, you're going to die, and you're going to probably die brutally. All right. If I'm running Call of Cthulhu, especially earlier editions of Call of Cthulhu, your character is likely to go insane. Your character is likely to die, and your character is likely not to be successful other than survival as a success, expectation. Other than that, they're not going to succeed in defeating the Eldritch horror. And so there are the expectations that get put out there that might push it a little bit beyond PG-13, but not much beyond it. And that's where I'm talking about, following that. Let me get to some of the comments in here. So I'm OSR. I've got no use for safety tools. I don't even like them on my firearms. Yeah, it's I'm actually the same way. It's like my firearms are loaded and accessible for the protection of my family and myself. So let's see what else we have here. Hey, Rob, how's it going? Good to see you in here. So the Ultra American, I'm doing some cleaning, but I'll see about getting on when I'm done. All right, cool. Uh, hey, Ivan, how's it going? Hey, Bloodworth, good discussion. I've lived most of my life in San Francisco Bay Area, which is obviously super liberal. And right now, I think wokeism has died away down even here. Yeah, and I mean, it's even what woke was meant to be is not what it is today, right? So even that has been degraded into this like alternate reality dystopian view of what that was supposed to be initially. Whether you agreed with it or not, initially it was supposed to just be awareness. awareness that there are some disparities, um, based on whatever, and that has become, well, you have to go in a complete reverse counter, counter view of it. It's no longer enough to say, I oppose racism. You have to, in a weird and twisted way where anti-racism becomes the, no, I have to go against this group and go for this group, to try to change that dynamic, or whatever. It's just where these ideas might have started from with a good intention, very very quickly became negative and equally toxic, if not more toxic, to the hobby. And that's how I look at these things. Like, I recall, um, it was the UK Expo, several years ago, where guy runs a game. He's been running games there at that UK Expo for at least a decade, and everyone played through the game, and then a complaint was lodged after the game session. And it was, it wasn't even, it was clear that this was a rated R game, but it wasn't even to the point of it was the innuendo that was left on the table, which basically used, you know, lines and bails kind of thing. But the complaint was put in, and without question, he was just removed and barred from ever running a game again. And it was, it was a, not a fair way, or a balanced way of doing it. It was just, we're going to take this word for it, and boom, it's done. And you're cut off now um, without any recourse to address it. Hey, Death Angels, how's it going?
Doing all right. Doing all right. How
Yeah.
about
So
yourself?
let's see what else we have here, and I'll get right to you. One reason is that eventually nobody who was woke got shafted by someone who thought they were even more woke. One was, yeah, I mean, it became like a pissing contest of who could be more woke than the next, and they started eating their own, which always happens. It's
Yeah.
like when you get into those extreme fringes, you can never be fringe enough. And so, for that extreme, and I know whether you like him or not. Uh, Elon Musk actually said it. He was like, when I first started talking about this stuff, I was here, I was in the center, or maybe even center left at some point, but
Right.
I'm still here. But the left has gone so much further over that now I appear to be right wing, and it's like, but I haven't changed where I stood on things. It's like they have moved, they have left me, and we see that in politics too. Like, JFK would be considered a
Right
right
wing
wing
extremist.
conservative,
Yeah.
compared to, where he wouldn't have that same status, as he does, as he would have if he was today, alive today, and running a presidency the way he did it back then. So it's crazy. I'll let you jump in, Death Angels.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I've, I don't know when I came across his videos, probably about a month or so ago. And I know he's been around forever.
Hmm.
Um, but, and I'm almost absolutely positive he's on the opposite side of the aisle as I am. But, he makes it a point, kind of like I would at a game. That's real world stuff. Keep it out of the game, right? And he does definitely make that point. Now, I don't necessarily agree with every one of his positions, but
Hmm.
on a uh, general concept, yeah, I'm maybe, and he's right. He pointed out that us old grognards, as we would like to say, um, bristle at the thought of it. But yet we were already doing something similar.
Mhm.
We weren't handing out X cards, and I would never allow something like that at my table. Um,
Yeah.
because first of all, uh, he 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 makes the very valid point that what you're doing is setting a framework for unacceptable behavior, or abnormally unacceptable behavior. I don't
Mm.
know. By creating this, okay, well, if we push it too hard, then you have to play this card, and it's like, w- why would we ever go to that extreme? That's weird.
Yeah.
you know and the origins of it is, a lot of us have been saying that it's like, that's the type of stuff that happens in that other, it's not even a hobby, I don't know what you would call it,
Yeah. Yeah.
lifestyle choice.
Yeah. Yeah. It's yeah. It's something. My experiences with the lack of X cards is this. So one time I'm playing in a convention game, and we were 2 hours and 45 minutes into the play time of the 3.5 hour session, really
Right.
3.5 hour
That's
session.
pretty much almost
We
good
were almost
solidly,
done,
yeah.
and then all of a sudden the guy he was running his own game, so he wrote his own game,
Yeah.
um, and he was like, "Oh, geez, I forgot the X cards to give you the X cards." And we were all adults, right?
Yeah.
So and we were a good mixed group, right? So some older people, some younger, a young couple, male and female, sitting at the table, and I think we all looked at him like
What?
now. It was
Really?
like, and I even said, I was like, we've gotten through this far without them. I think we're good. And he was like, "Yeah, I just forgot." Now, it wasn't the convention that impressed upon him, but he had that thought that,
That
"Oh my
mindset,
gosh, I forgot to do this." In
because
some
I'm
conventions,
right.
that might have been a problem. You know,
Really?
yes, yeah. Well, in Gen Con, at least in that time, like this would have been
Yeah. 2-3 years ago.
2020.
Yeah.
This would have been like 2023. So right after conventions were, going back, not that far, 2 years ago, maybe it was 2022, like when we first got back to in-person conventions. And it was prior to COVID that
Yeah.
that conventions were like, "Oh no, if you don't run safety tools at your table, you can't run."
Right.
All right. And if somebody reported you, they were going to shut your game down.
Yeah.
All right.
See,
And that was put out by Gen Con.
yeah.
That was an actual thing that they said that no, you must use safety tools of some form.
See, and
At
I don't want to ever go to a con that has that type of, um
Yeah.
that imposes that type of draconian rules. I definitely want to avoid anybody
Yeah.
any cons like that. So, just because it makes me bristle. I almost bought a copy of 1984 in Animal Farm on yesterday, on Saturday. I went to a bookstore. They had a copy of it with both of them in the same book, and I'm like, you know,
Yeah.
but I mean, obviously, it's their right to do whatever they want, but you know, how about whatever happened to good judgment? I mean, that's
Yeah.
literally, and if somebody doesn't feel comfortable, first of all, you shouldn't be there. And I think Atten
Yeah.
says that. He goes so far as to say that, he's like, if something like that ever happens, you know, say something, and if you don't feel comfortable saying something, just get up and leave.
Yeah.
There's, you're not a hostage.
Yeah.
you
Yeah. Yeah.
know,
Yeah. Nobody's forcing you to be there, and I get it. If something is happening, like if we're yeah, I mean, the very famous case was, someone is running of Demon Queen of the Web Pits,
Right.
and
Right.
one of the players flashes the X card and says, "Well, I have a thing about spiders."
Spiders.
It's
Right.
like, I mean, seriously, and I don't
Uh,
know if that was just an example of how an extreme, or if it actually happened. You really can't tell.
is
But I was like, you kind of knew what you were getting into, and
right.
if that's your issue, then number one, you're playing a game.
Well,
It's not real spiders.
what's the really famous one about the slave lords? That's the name of
Yeah,
it,
it's like if and it was against the slave lords. You weren't servicing them.
right,
You weren't
right.
helping them.
But you're
You were fighting against them. But it's just this is where you know where's the game master's X card? I want to be, as a game
yeah,
master, have an X card and say, nope, nope, I'm using the X card against this kind of gameplay that you're bringing to my table, right?
right,
I
yeah,
mean, doesn't it have to work both ways in that case? It's like, nope, nope, you're over sexualizing your character. That's not really what I want my table to be focused on.
right.
And so, bam, there's my X
You're
card.
you're 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 a little tryst with the barmaid.
Yeah,
That's a fade to black moment.
yeah,
It'll
yeah,
go away.
yeah, yeah,
you know.
and it's like, and I've actually had that happen at my table where someone's character became too overly sexualized, and that was all that he was looking to do, whatever his eventual identity became, because I think I caught him in midst of transition,
Yeah,
and it overcame everything that was going on the table. So he not only became that and overly sexualizing his character, but he also became the main character syndrome kind of player as well at the same time. And it was like,
yeah,
after about 3 weeks of that, it was like, and then he started saying, he, she, whatever, started saying, I don't feel like the group is hearing me anymore. I think I'm going to leave. And when I said, well, I'm sorry to hear that it's not working for you. I wish you luck. And
right.
his
That was
response
not the
to that
response.
was like, where aren't you going to beg me to stay? No.
No,
if
if you're not
if
happy
you
with that,
express that you don't want to be here, then I tried to, when he left and his character disappeared, when we go to the next session, I tried to build around the disappearance of his character as an adventure hook.
yeah,
Not a single other player in
nobody
the
bit.
group bit on that. They were like, no, we're just going to go to breakfast
Yeah,
and
well, yeah,
and then
we
go and
didn't.
continuing our adventures and everything. They wanted no part of that character at all. And I was like, holy cow. I was like,
So
that was
but you made a judgment. You, they had the spotlight syndrome,
mm, yeah,
and they wanted to be in the limelight, and you kind of knocked them off of that. Then they said, well, I'm not being hurt. I'm going to leave because they were now trying to take the spotlight in real life,
yeah,
because they weren't getting that attention that they wanted in
yeah.
the game. And you just went, well, sorry to see you go.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, I think that's really what took him by surprise was
yeah,
no one was begging him to stay. Oh no, please stay. It was like, no, if you want to
y-
go,
y-
I'm not going to hold a gun
don't
to
let
your
the
head
door
to
hit
stay here.
you.
You're welcome to walk away. Hey, Paul, how's it going?
We're back onto X cards, huh?
Yeah, we're
Yeah,
back onto safety tools in
Yeah.
general, and since I do have a convention coming up,
Yep.
and like I said, convention play is very, very different. And I want to get to some of the other comments as well, where you don't know who's coming at your table. And yes, you do have a responsibility. Like if I'm sitting there and I have, because I've had 12-year-olds come to my table at a convention,
Sure.
right.
and then I'm like, oh, okay, I'm running, I'm running this game, and do I tone it down a little bit? Absolutely.
Yeah,
Because you have a responsibility as a freaking adult, as someone with some common sense, to
Yeah.
say, yeah, I will modify this. I had Jeffrey Talanian's daughter joined my Gangbusters game,
Oh,
one time. He actually walked her up to my table and said, "Hey, can she join?" I was like, "Absolutely, she can join."
Mr.
And
Hyperborea. Speaking of
and
Hyperborea.
maybe she was 13 years old or whatever. I
Right.
don't know exactly how old she was. Takata was at that same convention. That was Shire Con last year,
Yep.
and I'm doing gangbusters, and yes, there's going to be gunfights, and there's going to be car chases, and machine gun use, and all kinds of stuff. And she had a ball. I mean, she went right into it, punching people in the face, and
Yeah.
and into the whole shooting things. Then in last CNY, again, Takata was there as well.
Yep.
We had I was playing a running Fallout, and a young kid, he might have been 12 again, and he was playing a robot, and the robot had a buzzsaw, as its primary weapon, and he was hacking and slashing with that thing like crazy, and having a
There it was.
ball at it. And I was like, I didn't realize it at the moment, like when we were about to start playing and everything, that I was like, oh wow, it's somebody like really young, and they're using this buzzsaw, and he was filled with glee.
You say
using
really
it. I was
young,
like, well,
though.
shit, I
I
was
mean,
like,
think about how old we were when we started.
of course, I was 11 when I started.
Right.
It was
So,
like,
so that's. I mean, what did we do?
like, we were probably worse when
Oh
we
yeah.
started,
Oh,
because
clearly.
we didn't have all of those. We didn't have those parental control. When we were kids. No.
Right.
My parents were like, "You're 11. You're outside 16 hours a day, and whatever you're doing, you're doing."
Don't come in till the streetlights come on.
Yeah, exactly. It was like, it was, we were feral. We were
Yeah.
raised to be feral. And it was like, just don't embarrass me. That was the only thing. Don't embarrass me in public. Don't make me have to pick you up from,
Right.
from school, or from some other place.
Right.
But, or certainly not a neighbor's house because you were doing something stupid there. And that was it.
And they probably had permission to whack your bottom too, if you.
Oh yeah. There was my teachers used to hit us. What are you kidding me?
Yeah.
The teachers could used to clock you. So anyway, hey Takato, I'll let you jump in on
Right.
this.
Yeah. I've never had it come up in like 40 years of gaming. Like the only time, like you said earlier, like session 0 always happened, and one time we were talking about what next game we were going to play, and one of my players who had a military background with a lot of deployments, and we were playing like a modern game. And we were talking about the type of game we wanted to play, and he was like, "I'm not really into that." And we were like, "Okay, cool." We just went in a different direction. Wasn't hard. Just common sense,
Yeah. And Paul, you wanted to jump in?
Well, I think the X card thing keeps coming up, but it's one of those things where they keep adding it to rule books, and it's like this should just have the rules for a game. You can't fix society's issues in a
Yes.
role-playing book. It's not like
Well-
you have to have rules or advice for how to deal with people's odd psychologies. It's just like that's not something you can really put rules on. To be honest, that's just
Yeah.
going to come from experience.
There should never be rules on how to run your table.
Right.
It's not a rule. You know what I'm saying? It's not a rule. And it's not up to the publishing company to say how you should be running your table.
Yeah. Now you could have. Did you download, Richard? Did you download the documents that he had mentioned in that video, in the video where he?
No, I didn't.
I've got them. I've got them here, but they're, they were written in 1990, which that was when I really started heavily gaming again.
Right.
After I was introduced, probably 85 or 80, yeah, probably 84, 85, something like that. But man, in the 90s, man, we were running Shadowrun and all that. It was me and all my buddies, and we all had cars. We were 18.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, we had a car. I had 16 years old. We were out running around, hanging out, playing, tabletop and all that stuff,
Right.
and meet up at somebody's house or go to concerts, whatever. But it's not. It's only 5 pages long, but It's kind of like this is kind of the way I run my games. This is the session rules and group and expectations of the DM.
Yeah.
It's basically putting to well, not paper, but electronic paper, I guess. What that contract that they always talk about, that social contract between the DM and players, or GM and players,
Right.
and so. Uh, as you said, we didn't necessarily call it Rule Zero, but that's basically what this is. You discuss or Session Zero rather. You discuss all the different things. So uh, it's interesting. I had pulled it down because I wanted to take a look at it, and you bringing up the subject tonight kind of reminded me. Oh yeah, I want to take a look at that and see, because it's not a bad idea to just kind of have, this is the expectations. Like, we're not going to do anything lewd, lascivious, blah 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 blah.
Right.
But there is going to be this and this and this, and yes, there will be spiders. And if you have a problem, sorry, too bad.
Yeah.
That type of thing.
Now, I would tell somebody, if you have a problem with something, feel free to say, hey, I'm going to go up and take a 5-minute break, and come back, and
Yeah.
you could rejoin, or you could say, you know what, this is not what I was really expecting, and walk away, and that's fine too.
No harm, no foul.
Yeah, even whether it's a convention game, or at a at a in your home game or whatever, hey, it's fine,
Yeah.
but don't
I'll call you
expect
next time we're
everyone
playing
else.
Burrows and Bunnies or something.
Yeah, yeah, don't expect everyone else to have your same issue, or to skip over what they might be enjoying, and that's where I really came down on the Monty Cook consenting gaming booklet, pack, it's
Oh,
like
God.
16-page thing. And I tore that to shreds.
How many
I went
pages
through it
was that?
point by point and tore
Too
it to
many.
shreds. It's Monty Cook's.
You could stop right there with Monty Cook.
Yeah,
Really,
Yeah.
Monty Cook's. It was consenting gaming. You can find the PDF and everything like that. And the biggest problem I had with that was that it was catering to the tyranny of the one.
Yeah.
So if one person said, I object to this, you had no other recourse as a game master but to stop play, not even ask what the issue was, but to go forward, because you weren't allowed to ask what the issue is.
Right, because
all it says
because
is,
you might bring up the
right, yeah, it's like, and you were supposed to fast forward to a whole different scene, but if you don't know what triggered the issue,
you can't even avoid it.
how do you know how to avoid it? And then if it happened again, unknown what it was, but then you had to, and everybody at the table had to apologize to this unknown, issue, because they had somehow violated the same thing a second time. But you never. I was like, through this thing, it
How do you
makes
know what
no sense. That.
Yeah.
How are you supposed to? No, it was at that point I would just kick the person off my table.
Right.
It was like, goodbye.
Let's all
no.
get together for a self-flagellation LARP.
Yeah.
We're not
I
interested
mean,
in this.
shame.
Yeah, let's all whip ourselves for this person's whatever perceived problem.
And I think that's the greater problem that a lot of us out here have with the whole woke ideology, is it's like it's amorphous and it keeps changing, and it's whatever the flavor of the day is, and that's what's offensive. Suddenly this word's offensive and that word's offensive, and and it's like they're offended by whatever strikes their fancy for being offended at for the day.
Right.
And
It always seems like it's like what the annoying kid on the playground would do, and there's a reason why nobody hung out with them. But now they're like, no, I need to interject myself into your hobby. It's like, dude, go away.
Puts them in the
We
spotlight.
didn't like it. Exactly.
Yeah. It's that spotlight syndrome, like you had. Yeah, they want to be singled out as for they're really the problem makers. They're usually they're the ones. Not saying that there aren't some people out there that are running games that are, I don't know what kind of, they're entitled to run their games that way, but I don't know. So
Terrifying.
jittery spiders are so terrifying.
Smiling.
They are. Oh no.
Yeah. I mean, it's just again, that's why I would say to everyone at the table, especially in my home game, this is the game system that we're running. Flip through that monster manual. If there's anything in there that you have a serious problem with, and again, D&D is written for PG, if not, at the most PG-13.
Yeah.
Any addition of it, it's like if there's anything in there that's just going to be really problematic for you, maybe this is not the table to be sitting at, kind of thing. It's like, you're not ready yet, and
Yeah.
that's fine. Go find another game table that is going to be closer to what you're looking for.
I mean, I'm not going to go sign up for probably some of Grim Jim's games.
Right, exactly.
I know what to expect.
You kind of know what you're getting into.
Yeah. But I'm not gonna. I would not forbid him from running his type of games. But he's got a whole different thing.
Yeah, he's got a game
and I
like
think
actual fucking monsters where you're supposed to be doing really, really nasty crap, but you're going to get hunted down and killed before the session's over.
Oh, right. Right.
There is consequences to being an actual fucking monster.
Yeah.
But people, like you said, people going to that table, I'm sure Grim Jim is going to say this is an 18 plus table.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm pretty sure you have to, right? Because even with tabletop events, you have to list what the age category is.
Do you?
And a lot of times for my own games, I'll often put 18 plus just as a this is where I'm looking to go with it. But then I'll let somebody that's 13 or 14, whatever, sit down at the table, but because the game is never going to be 18 plus anyway, but I advertise it as that.
But you just don't want, like a 5-year-old walking up and,
No, because you have to.
Hopefully they're supervised. I mean,
Well, even if they're supervised, if I'm running like certain game systems, like if I'm running D&D, nah, you know what? That's just too young. Yeah. Just too young. If I'm running something specific for that age group, then fine. Because I would have prepared for like 2 months and trying to get something sanitized.
And the problem is that you're at that point taking it that level down now, going from a rated R down to a G level.
Yeah.
That I mean, when's the last time? I can't tell you the last time I went and saw a G-rated movie. It's probably been 10 years ago. Yeah,
it's just
I don't. Maybe even it probably wasn't even G. It was probably PG.
It was probably PG because I don't even think they make G anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, not unless it's like a television cartoon, kind of thing. But Disney movies aren't G.
But if you're an adult, you're usually not entertained by that
kind of thing,
level of sanitization.
You never know. You got a lot of these Disney adults these days. So
oh yeah, I heard Bluey's really popular with some people. I mean, I know my kid when he was growing up, it was Blue's Clues and Bear in the Big Blue House.
Mine too.
But hey, whatever. I didn't watch it. At least it wasn't Barney.
Yeah.
I avoided Barney, but
yeah,
we did too. We didn't. I was like, no Barney, not happening.
No Barney, no.
Blue's Clues was all right.
Yeah, until they changed him.
Until was
it
Steve
that went off to college? Yeah, no, I didn't like that. I didn't like Joe.
No.
Hey, J-Man. So all this stuff started circa 1997 with Vampire the Masquerade and the BDSM movement during live role-playing. And that's something that Etienne actually mentioned, right?
Yeah.
Like he said, it really did. You started getting that sexualization, I think, from Vampires the Masquerade, because we really didn't do that stuff, even as as sophomoric our humor was when we were 11, 12, 13-year-olds in the early or the late 70s, early 80s. I mean, I never even used the Harlot's table when I was a teenager from AD&D First Edition. It just we were just worried about adventuring.
Right.
We were worried about dungeon crawls and killing crap and looting it and getting home and becoming more powerful so that we can go out and kill stronger crap and get better loot. And that's all we were focused on. We weren't focused on bettering ourselves as human beings. We weren't, we weren't doing any of, we weren't trying
What?
to
It's
create
not a
a
human improvement
world
engine.
around
What are you
us.
talking?
We were just adventure gaming,
Yeah.
and if you want to call that, video gaming on paper and pen and whatnot, there was certainly more math and reading involved with it. That's for certain. But that's all we were looking at. We always looked at it as a game.
Right.
It's gaming.
It's entertainment.
Yes, it's entertainment. It's passing time. It's whatever. It was,
And it's
meant to be therapy.
It's active entertainment.
Yes.
And I do love, you mentioned therapy, and Atten does point out the GM or DM is not your therapist.
Right.
If you're coming to this for therapy and expecting them to be able to treat you, that is not, they are not certified. They are not, unless they are, and they're actually a certified therapist using role playing to, he goes into the whole thing, but a lot of people do benefit from it.
You might personally benefit from it because, and I've told this story many times. When I was in 6th grade, I had very high reading comprehension. I was a terribly slow reader, to the point that I was assigned a reading teacher.
Really?
We used to, read the white line as the light came down the page. If you all remember those kind of things for reading, it was like, and just to pick up your speed, it used to be on like a 1-minute timer to cover the page, and then they would up it to get you so that you're reading faster but still maintaining. I was a terrible reader, slow, I should say, until I started reading Lord of the Rings and getting into D&D, and then all of a sudden, from grade 6 to like grade 8, I went from being a very slow reader to reading at the 10th and then the college level. By the time I was in grade 8, I was a college level reader.
You were just an undermotivated reader, apparently.
I think
it was
so.
just like I used to reread lines over and over. That's why I was so slow at doing it, but my comprehension was high. But it was like, so yes, D&D, had opened up reading as an entertainment for me that I might not have come across.
Right. Because you may have been, it may have turned you off to reading, and then you would have been, whereas instead it opened up this door and said, hey, look at this. And it, as a side benefit, your entire comprehension went up, I mean, my 8th grade book report was done on Dune. And I remember when I said I wanted to read Dune, the teacher said, are you sure?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh yeah, definitely. And I did. My neighbor had a copy of the was it the 1984 Dune?
Right.
But he said you can't watch it until you've read the book. So I read the book.
Yeah.
All 800 and something pages of it. And and I loved it. And I did I had this little program that would analyze analyze like a paper, a report, and give it a grade level. My 8th grade book report had a grade 15 level on it. And I'm like, I guess that's good enough.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, that's the type of things that the hobby brings to people. So
yeah,
that and introversion, bringing people out of their shell, getting to meet other people,
Hey, take it easy, Off Grid.
See,
Good to see you.
Yeah, I mean, it also is, I think we touched on it, but like escapism is a big thing. Like, for me, like I always say, like, people ask about like my former career and stuff, and I was like, between playing D&D and doing jiu-jitsu, like that's how I got through my career, because I could
Yeah.
just go and do either one of those things and forget about my job for
Yeah.
a couple hours, so it was always good that way.
Keep your mental acuity sharp, especially if you're
Yeah,
doing something
do
that's
something else to think about. I read this
yeah.
book when I was a kid. It was about a guy, Green Beret, named Mike Rowe, that spent 5 years in a prisoner of war camp in Vietnam, and he used to talk about like sending his mind somewhere else while he was there, to
Right.
escape. And that's what
Mhm.
he would do. Like, he mentally built a clock and he did all these things, but he would do that stuff that helped him survive the 5
Right.
years he was there before he did escape.
Yeah, it's I mean, that's why I liked having an hour and 20-minute commute after work. It's like I could just zone out and just leave
Yeah.
my whole workday behind me, so that when I walked into my house, I was in a completely different mindset. You know, and it was, again, it was just something that I was always able to do, but certainly, after the military, in the military, they get, you really do compartmentalize, in the military, and you can zone out on things and keep things separate and put them in their proper boxes and
Yeah.
everything, and isolate, you know, um, those kinds of things. So it is a coping mechanism, to be able to, just compartmentalize and leave it, and well, no, I'm going to use this time for escapism completely, like, just, so I don't have to worry about other stuff while I'm doing, this, like what we're doing now, or running a game or something like that. I'm not thinking about anything else but just our discussion now, or if I'm running a game, just about running the game, making sure my players are having a good time, I'm enjoying myself, and when that is over, and it's like, okay, now I'll worry about what's going to happen tomorrow morning when I get up for work or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, but that 3-4 hours is just pure escapism.
Yeah. It's no different than, watching a baseball game or watching a football game or whatever, and just kind of being in that moment and not thinking about
Mhm.
the rest of the world
Yeah.
and what's going on there. I mean, that's why we do things like that. The
Yeah.
the difference is I think it's one thing to be a spectator, it's another to be a participant. And when you're actually playing a game, you're actually participating in it. You're in the game,
Mhm.
you are it's for 4D. I don't know. Get into the whole 3D 4D thing again, but
Oh, then
it
you have
is
4D, like, totally immersed. Yeah,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
who, I forget who used to say it. Like, you. Oh, I remember who used to say it. Like, you're supposed to be so immersed that you wouldn't notice that the other side of the room is on fire. That you're so. I was like, no,
Oh
that's
no, that's probably
that's
not
that's
safe.
a little too that's a little too damn immersed, dude. It's like, are you want to hear someone calling out your name in panic, like at a super high volume, and you're not going to hear it? You're that immersed in it? It's like, no, that's a mental issue.
Yeah.
If you're
Yeah.
that immersed into it, it's like, no. No, you don't have to warn me that the other side of the room is on fire while I'm running a game,
Yeah, I'll
or
probably
playing my
spot
character.
that. I my passive perception, as much as I hate that term, passive perception. My passive perception in reality would probably notice the smoke, you
Yeah.
know, and the acrid smell of burning something or other,
Yeah.
plastic or whatever. But
You were going to say something, Takano.
No, I don't think
Oh, no,
so.
no. I'm pretty sure you know who I was referring to with that guy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I do.
I know. I
do.
don't want to mention him, otherwise he'll make 3 videos.
Oh God.
So,
oh, now my mind's racing. I'm like,
oh, there's only one person that does that.
I
Trust me. I'll
think
tell
I
you
know who you're
afterwards.
talking about.
But yeah,
He has a
Speaking of
he has a
videos,
new
though,
record. He has a new record for videos on
speaking of
one
videos,
top.
we're referring
One
to
top.
this Auden video. I didn't watch it. What did I miss now? So what's the
he
big
did
hubbub?
it was about a week ago now, right?
Okay.
Yeah,
He did a video talking about safety tools.
Oh, okay.
and how he had done previously videos about safety tools, and basically he ended up having to take them down because he was attacked for saying that some people took safety tools and they turned them into a cudgel, basically, and
Right.
started beating people over the heads with them and saying, "Well, if you don't use them, then you're toxic for the hobby and you need to be drummed out," kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
And he was like, "No, that's not what safety tools are really meant to be." And he got
Yeah.
attacked for, a very reasonable stance. But
Right.
now he reposted those videos, or at least on the topic of those videos. I hadn't changed his mind where he took from them, but he felt more comfortable today
Right.
in talking about those topics and saying, "Well, you've taken what was to be aware to what is woke, and they're two very, very different things. It doesn't matter where it started; it's where it's at now." And he said that has really tainted the hobby,
Yeah.
in a sense that it's made it where it's not as enjoyable for some people that
Right.
are going to walk on eggshells, like that example I gave early on. That game master went through 2 hours and 45 minutes, and I could see when he was like, "Oh my gosh,
He's
I haven't
panicking. I
given
mean,
you
and
the
his
Yeah.
time." He almost
he's
panicked. And
yeah.
we're like, "No, we're all good."
He saw
It's like,
the commissar out of the corner of his eye, and he's like, "Oh my god!" is he
yeah,
gonna check?"
and it's like, and again, that was not the environment that he was in that was going to be an issue at all.
Right.
But the fact that he found himself in that mindset, like, "Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I never gave this out to you as as an option." And he was almost panicked about it.
Yeah.
I am very apologetic, like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't even give you this opportunity." We're like, "No, we didn't even need it." We're like,
If it were important, we would have brought it up. We're all adults here. Let's move
yeah,
on.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
like again, it's like, yeah, we're all adults. It's like, if anybody had a problem, I guess they would have said, I have a problem with this, and that's on the player. The players have to say,
Right.
"Hey, I'm not comfortable with this."
Did he go into did he go into a little bit of a rant on the word triggered? I think he did too, didn't
Oh,
he?
Atten,
Yeah.
I
One of the
yeah,
videos, it may have been this one. It came out, by the way, on the 2nd. So if you're looking
yeah,
for it, it's on We Love TTRPGs, and it
yeah.
was dated September 2nd. And he does have a link in there to a document that he created in 1990. So bear in mind how long ago that is, and it's just
Yeah,
a basic. It's only five pages long.
yeah,
Kind of just a little. And I could see friends of mine running games that would have come up with something like that even back then. That's just kind of a basic. Here's kind of the expectations of you as a player. Here's the expectations of me. Now, yeah, it's a conversation. Obviously, between friends, you might have.
right,
You probably could just have it as a discussion.
yeah,
But if you're having random people that you don't know that well, or that you've only met as a that have interest in a particular, especially in 90, you're probably not getting on the internet and recruiting that way. Maybe a BBS, some
Yeah.
some random person, that wants to play. But
Hey, thanks a lot. My ear trumpet has been struck by lightning, Mercurius, and congratulations, Knucklebones, on
congrats.
that. And I'll be giving away some free memberships as well. Yeah, we're into a new month, so got another 10, so can hand out 5 at a time. So anyway, yeah, it's a yeah. I remember him bringing up the word triggered and
Yeah, I think he was basically, and he's like, and stop saying you're triggered by every little thing, because you've
yeah,
literally dumbed down the word, kind of like another word that gets thrown around
yes,
at
yeah.
A lot
from
of them. Yeah.
conservative
And
people.
yeah, it's like, well, I think, and also the ones on the other side, because triggered has become a
Triggered.
a word you use to
Too
mock
bad.
somebody now.
Yeah.
So trigger doesn't have the same meaning that
We're taking away their power.
yeah, it's like, yeah, where you stole my thunder.
Oh
It's
no!
like,
Oh no.
you've taken the word and repurposed it. How many times have we heard that? It's like,
Yeah.
you've, you're not allowed to reclaim words. Only we can reclaim words.
And then change the definition of it.
Yeah,
6 times.
so it's like, when triggered became an issue for them on that side of the argument was when we started using it as a mockery, and
Right.
saying, "Oh, are you triggered by,
Are you triggered? Yeah.
are you triggered by bad dice rolls now?
Yeah.
Are you triggered by, you're playing Dungeons and Dragons, and you're going to say, well, no one can use, and I've actually seen that, no one can use sharp objects because I have a
What are you gonna have, a club?
sharp objects. It's like, so no one in the group can play with swords or spears or arrows, and it was like, you got.
Well, I'm not playing then.
Yeah, you have to go. All right,
Yeah.
not the table for you.
If you're the only one,
Yeah.
maybe you're the problem.
Yeah, it's like, nope. You cannot sit at this table. If that were a convention, I guarantee you that person would run to the convention organizers and complain about the table.
Yep.
All right.
Like, look, I was in an AD&D game once. We cut an ocker jelly like 8 times. It kept splitting. I just can't see any bladed objects ever again. I'm triggered.
Oh darn. Yeah, and the question is, why would they listen to somebody that was clearly just being that way?
Because they
Yeah.
would,
'Cause they're
they
just
would lie
afraid.
about it. They
Yeah,
would lie. They would say, all they would say is, they wouldn't say exactly what the situation was. They would just say, I was excluded from this table. And they wouldn't go into detail. I was rejected from this table.
Well, I mean, again, I don't think I want to go into any cons like that. You're a con expert. I think at least 2 of you are. I've been to one con, and it was this year.
Yeah.
I've been gaming since '85, right? But I've only been to one con.
Yeah.
Um,
They'll show up though, man. That's the thing. It doesn't, like, you can think that, oh, they'll know just by the description of the game. We were sitting down to a one Avengers games, and it was very much like it was like 21 plus because it was happy hour during Gary Con. Half of us were out of our minds on tequila, and this kid shows up and was like, let's discuss pronouns. And we were just like,
nope.
you just showed up to Avenger Satanis's game with this? And it was hilarious
Nope.
just seeing the look on his face
Avenger?
kind of fall as soon as the kid said it. And we were just like, huh? And it was great because he was there to see if there was an empty seat. And luckily everybody showed up and filled it. And Avenger, like, the kid went off to go get a drink of water or something. So he took all his stuff and put it on the next table over just to get the message, like, you don't have a seat here. Like, no. This isn't for you, buddy.
Yeah. I like Venger. He's a trip.
And he's a funny dude. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like there's a lot. There's a lot of cons. There's one coming up down in Atlanta in October that I told my wife. I said, I might try to go to that one because I know some guys that are going to it, including Chuck from Pro Lord. He's going down there.
Yeah. Smaller cons are safer at smaller cons. It's at the bigger cons that you're going to run into more issues.
Yeah.
Smaller cons are much more independent OSR, older conventions. I mean, you still get some kids in there, certainly you will, but they're usually, they're usually accompanied by an adult, and there's less chance of them just being like 1,000 of them just wandering around, and just running through the whole convention. It's smaller cons, you're not going to run into that.
Yeah, and from what I gather, the bigger cons are they cover so many different bases. It's not even funny. Whereas the smaller cons tend to be more narrowly focused on one or a few specific type of things. Maybe it's particular. It's like OSR stuff and maybe some miniatures and whatnot. Or they might have some artists there, but it's not. It's not. They don't have a cosplay party and everything else.
Have, or even if they do, it's kind of treated like it's a and also kind of thing, right? So it's
Yeah.
certainly not the focus of the convention, but it's an and also kind of thing.
Yeah, no, the one I went to in Knoxville, it was all right. And that's been my apprehension, to believe it or not, about going to some of these cons, is I'm afraid that I'm going to run into a bunch of woke, and
Yeah.
I don't want to run into it. I don't
Hey,
want to
thanks
be.
a lot, my eardrum. For that. And yes, there might be horror at my cult or COC game. Yes, you might lose sanity at the your character might lose sanity. Let me correct
I
myself
I
there.
I
You might lose sanity too from just what's going on, but
yeah,
yes, the character might.
I that bookstore I went to where I almost bought the 1984. What I did buy instead was the complete works of H.P. Lovecraft. So I figured, hey, it was only $18. I'm like, cool.
Hey, let's see,
So
Hunter. We're getting a big group here. Hey, Hunter, how's it going?
there you go.
How y'all
Right.
doing today?
What's
Peachy.
curious is that the extensive pronoun use in the satanic literature. So I'm not that familiar with satanic literature. Let's put it that it's not like
No.
it wasn't on my reading list. So it's like I can't pull that off my bookshelf. But I guess with all the accusations that Hollywood has turned satanic, and that's where you see a lot of this stuff coming from, I wouldn't be surprised if there is a connection to all of the pronoun usage in satanic literature. But like I said, I've never sat there and read anything like that anyway. So the closest I came was the Advanced Dungeons and Dragons First Edition Monster Manual. It's like if that is a satanic literature, the succubus picture.
I mean,
for the most part, it's like
I had the book of Exalted Deeds and the book of what was the other
Vile
one?
Darkness.
Vile
Yeah,
Darkness.
Book of Vile Darkness. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
It's a great
And-
book.
yeah. Oh yeah, and they were shrink wrapped and had a little warning sticker on them
Little
too.
sticker on 'em. Mine
Kid-
still has the sticker on it.
Does it? Does it? Can you
Yeah.
imagine? God, I wish I still had that.
Oh my
See,
god!
I
they never
don't
put
have
that out
either
there.
of those.
WotC would never put that out now.
But I
Oh,
wasn't
no.
a second edition person, so
Well,
I
this
mean,
was
not at the
they had
time.
it for
That was
they
a
had it.
three.
Oh, that
Was
was
it
three.
3.5?
Well, it was certainly not a three.
Three
person.
It
five.
was 3.5. Yeah,
Yeah.
One of those. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a great book. I
The
wish
movie wasn't bad.
they designed a setting book for the Book of Vile Darkness, but they never published it.
Well, and
Yeah.
that's actually an item too that's
Yeah.
been in
Yeah.
since at least second edition,
Magic
if not
item.
older. Yeah.
Did they just recently write in that was created by an autistic paladin?
I'm sure it was.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
Do not get me started on that.
an autistic anti-paladin now,
Oh,
after- yeah.
anti-paladin, right?
Yeah.
Right.
As someone who was actually diagnosed with autism when I was 4 years old, I was so pissed off when they released that book. It drove me up the wall that I saw, because literally there was a Polygon article about it, and the creator behind that said, when I came out as autistic, like it was some sort of weird sexual identity, drove me up the wall.
Is it the same person that uses her, him, zer, zim pronouns?
I
And works
don't
at
know.
WotC, and now it's supposedly the
It
only.
sounds like Connie Chang, but I don't think it was her or him
No.
or it or whoever.
Or them, or
I'm thinking Mackenzie.
yes, it's Mackenzie.
Mackenzie.
Yeah,
It was Mackenzie de Armas.
Yes.
No talent, zero talent.
Nope.
Absolutely
Started
very-
playing D&D in 2018, and
Yeah.
now is pretty much the
I don't
creative
even
head
think
of
she started
D&D.
in 2018.
That's what she said in an interview.
Oh,
she
really?
started
She started
in
in 2018.
That's when
Yeah.
she started playing.
Yeah.
Now she's like the
I mean, I
creative
didn't start
mastermind
playing until
behind
2019
5e.
myself, and even I was a lot better than most of the modern day players.
I got nothing. I mean, she has no talent. I think it's
No,
clear.
none.
I think WotC is completely devoid of talent, and maybe that's
Now,
by
yeah,
design.
Sure, yes.
I mean,
Well, they
you know,
just
how-
they just lost like the last three guys, right? Who is it? Perkins, Merles, and whoever else.
well,
that were-
Merles
Crawford,
did a
yeah.
bad thing. He stood up for a friend and said, "Let's wait until all the facts come out."
Yes.
Yeah.
That's literally what he got in trouble for, and they moved him quietly to the back to work on magic.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? It's like, wait, so this guy did a heinous crime? Were the police called? How dare you? And it's like, what are you talking about? Like, that always...
and all he was is like, hey, let's hear the facts before we start rushing to judgment.
Let's
Right.
not,
That's a fair. That's what you should do.
Usually,
But no. This is cancel culture. This was right in the height of cancel culture, and so.
And what's most interesting about that is that Zach Smith is a cancel culturist himself. I mean, it was literally them eating their own.
Oh yeah,
it was
that's
like,
a prime example.
Like him and like Adam Coble was another one.
What Adam did. Adam was one where that was what. That doesn't belong in your game.
That was
especially
a
when you're
moment.
Streaming on it. No.
No. That was just a.
That's a private game. That's by invitation only, and people know what you're getting into.
In that situation,
and he was Captain Safety Tools
came
too.
up in that situation, right? And it was like, well, didn't you have safety tools? And then for that particular player, for that female player, I mean, she's a freaking adult. Yeah. So she made the decision, it's more important for me to make this money than it is for my own, for my own comfort.
We're gonna suffer through it and then spotlight
and then complain about it and cry about it and
to get the attention. Yep.
That's one thing that drove me nuts, because this is kind of what started a lot of the some of the slander campaigns that happened against me. Was I had an old podcast I ran. One of the last games I did had a female player that played through the whole thing, then went and complained about me, about everything I did wrong afterwards.
Yeah.
And I always tell people, hey, if you don't like something I say, if you want me to change something, just, excuse my language, just fucking say something.
Yeah.
Right.
But and that's why when Ryan David says gatekeeping is good, it's you gotta watch. I'm trying to recruit people to play a CNC game here. I didn't grow up. I'm in East Tennessee. I didn't grow up here. Okay, so I don't have those connections like I did back in Orlando, where I did grow up with all my gaming buddies and stuff like that. People I went to elementary and middle school with, let alone high school. I don't have any of that here, so I've been here 5 years. We I've been trying to recruit people, and it's tough when you don't know a lot of people. And so I went ahead and put it out on some of the Facebook groups for the tabletop related Facebook groups for this area. And I did get a couple of responses. I got 2 responses, and I looked at these people's Facebook profiles and I see 0 posts. Now I don't know if that's just because they have it blocked, or one of them, both of them have joined the Facebook group in the same month, like August, a week apart in August, but there's no details about this. Another guy DM'd me. I looked him up, and man, he's bleeding orange, which volunteer orange, if you know anything about Tennessee, the balls. So I'm like, okay, you're cool. You're real, at least. I know you're real because you've got plenty of pictures and posts and stuff about that. And we went on and we must have chatted for like an hour and a half, just texted back and forth. So he's in, he's definitely going to be, but you got to be careful, because you don't know what you're going to get. You don't want to invite, and he's also like my age, I'm in my 50s and he's in his 50s. My wife's in her 50s, I'm not saying that I'm not going to let somebody that's, in their 20s not play. I'm not going to try, but I'm going to be very selective about who. I've been begging for people to play, but now I'm having to the opposite. You know what I mean? I think it's a good thing to do for your own personal. Yeah.
I just there's a local. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No,
that's
you.
Yeah. Somebody's, I think, reverbing a little bit.
We got to pitch in and get Ducato a headset.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. Let me double check to make sure nobody else is popping in. If anybody else wants to join in, the invite is up there. I could take up to 10 people. That would be awesome.
He wants to fill the screen.
a little bit
He wants it to be like
confusing.
Hollywood Squares. So we can
Yeah,
put himself in the
yeah. Yeah, that's what we need. Was it 9?
Circle gets an X card.
Yeah.
No, it's funny because because we're talking about safety tools and all that, kind of the issues with that, and I'm just after finally a year and a half, I'm going to start gaming again. Oh, okay. So I think the reverb's on my end. So let me
Turn your volume
leave
down
and
just
come back
a tad.
in because I think something's being weird on my end. So I'll be right back.
Yeah.
Okie dokie.
If your mic kit picks up your headphones.
Yeah. I think I think that's what it is, or sometimes
I
I
think
forget
he's
that
got
I
the
have
combo
more
thing
than one
where
mic
it's
going.
yeah, he's got the mic headset. So.
No, I just heard it.
I just heard it. Uh-oh.
His hands
Might
are
be
clean.
Ducato.
Uh-oh. Is it me?
It's not me. Is it?
Hmm? I don't know. I got headphones on. I'm going through my mixer. So.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I have the volume down on.
I'm a wannabe real streamer.
Yeah.
not there yet.
We were talking
Let me
about
do this
cons.
while we're waiting for him to come back on. So let
Sure.
me do the free giveaways here, membership gifting, and go send 5 out, and bang. So let's see.
Fingers crossed. Yes.
And now I'll let him back in. Let's see. Hunter is back in. So let's see.
Testing.
Paul, you just got a free membership. I think that's the first time somebody on
the stream
actually gets it.
Well, you got a twofer because Hunter just got one too.
Oh, Coco.
Oh, wow.
Right.
Nice.
Well, congratulations, guys. Congrats.
So what I was trying to say earlier before the weird reverb thing happened, which I was having some weird issue on my end that was popping up, so I finally got that figured out. So, but I'm going to be running the Curse of Strahd module using 2014 5e rules, which I've avoided like the plague for my entirety of the time I was in this hobby. But I couldn't convince the players to run anything else, so I said I haven't GM'd in a while, and I've been wanting to actually do this module because it was one of the few D&D ones I've been wanting to do. So I'm like, okay, I'll just do it. But I also laid down the law and kind of like, here's what I'm going to do. Here's what I'm going to change. Let me think here. I'm doing the optional sanity rule, the sanity attribute. I'm adding that. I'm doubling down on kind of like making sure the horror kind of happens. I'm making everyone keep track of ammo and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very much like, and then I made sure everyone, what's your alignment? Because you guys will be making sure to follow that, or you will be penalized for not doing so.
Which book? Which printing of the book is that?
This is let me look here, because I know I bought this through. Oh, this is the very first printing from March in 2016.
There you go. That's good.
Yeah, the one to have.
You should have it. You shouldn't have a lot of changes to make then on that.
There was a they were all for like a lot of them were like on sale through the Walmart website, so that's where I got this and a bunch of other ones too. And I got the deluxe Dragonlance module from a buddy of mine because a game store where he lived went out under, unfortunately, but he had like 3 deluxe Dragonlance sets, and I bought it for like half the cost from him.
Yeah.
Yeah, Curse of Strahd. And you can there's of course you can pull all the old 2nd edition and 3rd edition stuff.
Yeah.
I
even got the Taroka cards as well. I bought a pack of those like a while back too when I was first looking through the module.
That's in a metal case. See, mine are just in a cardboard case.
Oh no, this is like the little plastic. Ones. Mine's a cardboard too.
Oh, okay, maybe. Yeah.
But they're nice though. I haven't pulled them out that much. So.
Yeah, I've got those too. Because I don't have tarot cards. I've never owned tarot cards. I was raised during the Satanic Panic. I remember my mom.
Yeah, I have tarot cards. I own a bunch of them.
Yeah, I was raised during the Satanic Panic, but my parents couldn't care less. They didn't care about anything. It was like, as long as you're or dark.
I went to religious private schools until I complained about it. And I said, "Can I go to school with the kids in the neighborhood, please?"
See, yeah, I grew up in the 90s where it was Harry Potter and ICP are the devil.
Yeah. It's there was a video I saw recently about that too, where I think it was a John Stossel video, and I'm surprised that because Stossel talked about the Satanic Panic, and you know what topic or what bullet point he missed was D&D. He missed the whole tabletop bullet point. He talked about heavy metal, and he talked, of course, D. Snyder testifying in front of Congress and all that stuff, the PMRC, and they went back into the into the 50s. Comic books, I guess, went through that era too. At one point in time, they were literally having Senate hearings about how comic books are turning our youth into whatever. And then of course, pinball games was a thing. Oh, that's a gambling mechanism for gambling. And
don't think I ever heard pinball before. That's a new one on me.
That's first for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
I heard about Wortham in the comic books. Yeah.
There was footage of them literally taking you've seen the footage from Prohibition, right? Where they were smashing the casks and stuff like that. They literally were doing this to pinball machines.
That's crazy.
I know, and I'm like I would love to have one.
They saw what was happening to the Japanese and with the pachinko machines. They're like, we can't let it happen here. Destroy everything.
Yeah.
I think it's funny we read comic books, and I think society would have been a lot better if more kids had read Punisher and Ghost Rider.
Yeah. I never got I the only comics I think I ever read was like Archie and Jughead a couple of times, and like G.I. Joe and maybe a Transformers. I never got in. All my friends, we of course gamers and comics kind of in the Venn diagram overlap a lot.
Sure.
And I never got into the comics.
I didn't either.
Conan the Barbarian and Savage Sword of Conan. Those are my comics of the day. I was like, I was right into it. I just wanted to address this. Hey, 4K Mini Master, welcome. New name for me. So if you've been here before, sorry I missed you. So every game is a house rule game unless it is a convention. I'm going to correct that a little bit, unless it's an organized play convention game. Because convention games, you have to heavily modify any game system for convention play. Most games are not written specifically for conventions, especially crunchier ones. Now, Shadow Dark is an exception. That game is so easy to run at conventions, but most games are not designed for convention play. You have to modify them. And that's when I say most games, like DCC, as popular as it is at a convention, you got to tweak that for convention play. Same thing with like Weird Frontiers, which is really DCC, but Weird Frontier, DCC, and that is you have to run that, specifically for convention play. You have to take out a lot of the mechanics, otherwise you'll get bogged down. You'll get nothing done.
You did a video on doing CNC at a convention too, didn't you? Or you kind of touched on it?
Yeah,
I recently bought Weird Frontiers.
I am running my CNC game at the convention with house rules, right? So I'm using like a hero point system kind of thing where they'll get extra rolls and stuff like that, just to make it a lot like faster paced and challenging, but also give them opportunities. Every time that I've done it, the players had such a huge, like a great fun time with it that I'm just going to keep on carrying it over into everything that I do. So yeah, it's basically like the momentum system from Conan 2D20, Modiphius' system, and really it's just carrying it over. Now, other ones have that. Shadow Dark has like a roll with advantage kind of system built into it. If you earn these luck points, I just expanded it, made it a little bit easier to get them. That way players are kind of challenged. And Takata was played in my game where I'm using that kind of system. And all I'm doing, Takata, was taking from Shadow Dark and moving it over to CNC and using that same kind of system. That way it's
nice thing about CNC is it's pretty easy to hack whatever you want into it.
Yes. Yeah, very, very simple system to use that way, So, yeah, basically people get coins and they get to spend those coins for rolling with advantage on their next roll, or if they spend a lot of coins, they can re-roll something or whatnot. But, in the end, it's just meant to, designed to make the player experience at the table a lot more fun. What were you showing there, Death Angels? Is that the new one?
That's Beneath the Canopy Green. That's the
Oh
just
yeah,
the damn screen. But
okay,
that's the only thing I have handy right here, other than
yeah. I have that in PDF form.
yeah.
You
I haven't I haven't checked yet because they mailed out some PDFs too. I know, but I saw that.
Oh yeah. No, I have a video series lined up.
I have you. Was it you that did one already?
Yeah, today.
Okay, I haven't watched that video yet.
Yeah. I got the beta versions of those two. Of the
How did you get those?
I turn them
In the mail. They just came in.
When did I get them? I just got them. They were
Like Friday.
Were they dated September? No, they might have been dated. One of them was dated September 1st.
Back that Kickstarter. I haven't got them yet.
So yeah, I would double check it.
September 5th.
September 5th. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So September 5th, then I guess the Worlds of Gygax and the Adventures Backpack are all in beta right now. So I got those.
CNC Adventures Backpack beta preview.
It's the Canting Crew for the Worlds of Gygax and Adventures Backpack. I just recently got.
Yeah, you were saying something, Ultra.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, since we're talking about stuff we're getting, I just because TTRPG is doing a whole Savage September sale right now. I got the Savage Worlds Core rulebook for like $6 off the website. So, and that's one I've always heard a lot of things about. People talk about how good it is. I just never got around to it until I saw the sale. So, and I actually went through it. I was kind of working on making my own character, made my own ancestry and all that too. And it's like your first time, you're trying to like go back and forth repeatedly to make sure that you're doing everything right, because it is a little all over the place with the character creation, because it allows you to do anything.
You have the special edition of the Canopy Green. Impressive it is. Yeah. I just have the PDF version of that. And I'm actually running my players through that whole campaign series right now. So they don't quite know it yet, but maybe now they do. But they're running through that series of adventures. Like I take adventures and I butcher the crap out of them and I homebrew them. Right, I turn them to my, to my take on them, and mostly just use the maps and some of the creatures and some of the, main points of it, but not all of them. So the green leatherette is beneath the Canopy Green came our spectacular.
Came out spectacular.
Cool. Yeah, I'm waiting to see if I'm guessing that they updated they have a new printing of their Game Master screen, the Castle Keeper screen. I'm waiting to get my physical copies of the new books, the new printings.
For which one?
For Castles and Crusades. Like I have them on PDF.
You didn't get on the Kickstarter for that, right?
Yeah, but I picked up the books themselves. Like I've had the PDFs for a while now, but I got the books themselves along with the Adventures Backpack. I backed that and then added an extra $100 to get those 3 in hardcover only.
Yeah, see, I jumped in on the Kickstarter for the physical and PDF, for Adventures Backpack for. The Hermit, of course. What's the other one? That we're still waiting to hear on.
Well, Canting Crew is coming out soon.
Well, that's part of.
That's part of the thing. Like I did the 7-book.
I want my 27 different types of sporks. I don't know if you follow the stream there, the Twitch streams that they do.
Yeah, sometimes.
I brought it up. They were talking about every kind of little knife and fork. I said, what about sporks?
Yeah.
So I said, I expect sporks in my stuff.
Yeah.
I expect sporks. 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 I expect sporks.
Now the only book of the Gygax books that I'm not going to get is the cosmic one, like because of who the primary author is. I won't buy his stuff. So it's I forget which one it is. It's
Is it already out or is it?
No, it's part of the new releases. It's one of the books of the new releases.
Oh, from one of the Kickstarters?
Yeah, from the Gygax Worlds World Builder series.
Oh,
There's one book that I won't get.
Okay, so you're buying them. You're buying them individually then, because I think
there was a 7-book package.
Yeah.
Where you get to choose the 7, and I think there's 8 books total. So that's the one I'm leaving out.
I could not afford the leather.
Yeah, I couldn't.
I just couldn't justify that one.
Yeah, I couldn't afford the whole thing.
It was a bridge too far for me. But,
yeah, I'm getting Living Fantasy, Essentials, Facts and Things, the Canting Crew,
right,
the Wayland Smith catalog. I think it's Pantheons I'm skipping. A Cosmos Builder I'm not getting.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, the Cosmos Builder I'm not getting.
Let's see if I can see it here. I got too many. I got to curtail some of my Kickstarters I'm jumping on.
But that's I got the Guide to Adventure Writing. Did I get the Extraordinary Book of Names? I don't know if I did that. I don't think I bothered with that one.
So the World Builder Kickstarter, that one's estimated June of 2025. Yeah, we haven't got that one yet.
yeah. No, they're like I said, we just got another of the beta releases. It's coming out soon.
So I've got the 7-book set.
Yeah, I got the 7-book. I choose one hardcover, and then I added the other ones.
You did it manually.
I got the one hardcover and 7 PDFs. All right. Then I added on like 5 other books to that, so I paid a total of like $200 for mine. All right, and like I said, yes, Ballsy wrote that book. So Richard T. Ballsy.
It says I must have picked print only. I usually get.
So he is somebody that I blocked on Facebook, God knows how many years ago. But yeah.
What's the problem with this guy now? What did he do?
He's a cancel culturist prick. So I think I blocked him back in like 2016. So you kind of know what was going on, at that time.
Yeah.
And him, I just plus he runs around with his avatar as an Army Commendation Medal, avatar, and I'm like, that doesn't. When you act like an asshole like you do, I don't care that you're a veteran.
That doesn't excuse it. Yeah.
It's not gonna do anything for me. I got that medal too. I can run around with that medal also. So but yes, I won't get that book.
So you did the one print plus PDF.
Yes.
Yeah. I did the complete 7, but apparently I did the print only. I don't know what I wonder if they'll offer when they're ready to ship.
Oh yeah. You can add the PDFs onto your
when they do the backer kit, right? You'll be able to do that.
Yeah. That's like $325 for everything. I was like, nah. I said I can do 200. I can't do 320.
That was kind of the way I'm like,
Yeah. Plus, I'm not that much into like Cosmos building. I don't need to do that.
And that's also when Kickstarter backer kit was doing the pay in 4. Kickstarter had not started their pay in 3
Correct.
yet.
Yes.
And now Kickstarter has a pay in 3. So
do they?
Yes.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, because I went ahead and
it was probably killing them with the pay in 4.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Roll for Combat, when they did the the one for Shadow Dark, the one that they just
Yeah.
had, the Kickstarter they just had,
Mhm.
it was an option, paying
Yeah.
3.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay. So Kickstarter was, learning from the competition, clearly.
Yes. Yeah. Clearly. Yeah, because I know that's what made me back so many other things on
That's why I
top.
went with that's why I went with the so many backer kits, and I was like,
Yes.
Kickstarter. I'm like, eh.
I
Yep.
got so many different like actually physical books ordering from TTRPG because now through PayPal has to pay in 4 plans. So every 2 weeks
Mhm.
when I get paid, it takes out whatever small chunk it needs towards that. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's.
anyway,
I mean,
let's
it makes
move
it.
on to our. And I'm glad that Don is here. If Don is still in from Wizard Tower Games, let's move on to our next topic because I know that this was coming up as well, and that was so AI, and we're starting to see the issue with artificial intelligence as far as art is concerned, but there's also um, out there for writing as well. And I've actually been seeing like my youngest daughter just started university, so she's in her third year of school, and one of the things that they're talking about there is that they don't know how they're going to deal with students using AI to write their papers. Their in some cases their advanced degree papers and stuff. So and you see just like an explosion of AI. Like if you do a Google search now, it gives you that AI driven thing, which is like, oh shit, this actually gives me everything I would have prompted myself for, and um, there's no way around it. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's just going to become so prevalent, and it's. But I look at the difference between writing and art. I separate the two.
Right.
Um, I don't think any gaming company should be using AI for writing. Um, I think only small gaming companies, like the one person show kind of thing. I'm gonna maybe sell 5 copies of this, and I cannot afford, hundreds of dollars worth of art. Instead I'm going to use whether it's archived free photographs from, what was it called, Pixel Bay or Pixie Bay or something like that. I used to use that, and I used to use archive photographs, so like real photographs, but they're archived in those types of things. Like I use for my gangbusters, right? So I used actual photographs from police station, roll call rooms, and their cars and their uniforms and their whatnot, and all from just free, public domain art or pictures. Um, but utilizing, I don't think you should use it for your cover art. I think cover art should be unique. But I'll let some of you jump in on that where you might stand.
I think there's a delineation, like Don said. A game company probably should not be using it. Anybody that's publishing,
Yeah.
I can agree. There are some smaller indie publishers maybe using it.
Hmm.
Maybe. If it's you or me sitting at a session, and we need to, quickly, draw me a dwarf that looks like blah blah blah, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's for my own personal game. That's
Right.
not
Right.
going to
Right.
be,
Right.
yeah, that's different, you know. But if you're actually publishing something, trying to make money off of it, yeah, no, get a real artist if you can.
Yeah.
um
You know.
and
Yeah.
and as far as dialogue, I think we had a guest on Sci-Fi for Me. Was it Thursday or Friday? Sometime this past last week, where I think he's in Greece, and he actually did a whole tried to write a whole book using AI or something like that.
Yeah.
Just as a proof of concept, and apparently it's outselling his regular work. So he's like, I don't know. It was an interesting discussion. I was actually had to do real work for my job, so I didn't get to see all of it. But
Right.
I was like, yeah, I don't think maybe for giving you ideas, but I certainly would only use that as a jumping off point, not for and I got plenty of books with tables. What's the
Right. Yeah.
I can use those too. I don't know what everybody else thinks, but I'd rather have real art.
Books with tables. I think Knave Second Edition killed me on that. I overdosed on tables. That book is like 90% tables, and it made
Does
me
it have any
realize
rules?
not really. No,
It's
yeah,
mostly tables, yeah.
it is so rules light. It's practically not a game.
It's like one page of rules.
Yeah.
And 90
Knave
something.
first
I mean,
edition
I'll
was
grab it off
better.
the shelf, and it's like it's all tables.
Honestly,
It's fine if that's what you need.
that was my biggest complaint about it. Is like it's so thin. I'm like,
well, you cut the tables out. It's like 15 pages, if that.
Well, and when you compare it to like Shadow Dark, and I paid like the same for and I got 3 times the volume.
And I think that goes to what we're talking about here. There's going to be such a kind of vast degree of quality in these books. I don't think AI is going to be really much of a threat. People will see like, who published this? Oh, it's an AI slop piece of crap, and they'll never buy another book from them again.
Yeah,
and it'll correct itself, I think, for the most part.
Either pay for the work or don't do it. No, I don't think that's cold. I think that's a fair.
Yeah, I mean again,
it sounds like having standards, which that's never.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, who has standards these days?
Yeah,
right.
Like I said, you could use like when I did my gangbusters, adventure that I sold on drive-through. I did not use AI for anything. I used, now there the advantage was there's historical pictures that are archived, that are over 75 years old, that are, that are public domain, so utilizing public domain images, those are fine. Using, you can buy the rights for clip art, that's usually not too expensive. And some artists out there that do a lot of work in OSR stuff, right? They have catalogs that you can probably, you give me $100 and you'll get, these 15 images that you can use, throughout
in your publications.
And they're pretty, they're pretty easy to find. I was using, when I was working on my own pirate themed RPG, which never actually went anywhere beyond the 30 some odd pages that I've kind of pieced together, and then I started hitting stumbling blocks.
You already doubled Knave.
You double Knave, like good.
Yeah. So when I started, and I was like, well, it's a historical kind of based game, so it was very easy to find art that is not art that is not copyright art. And it's not AI, it's just clip images or actual photographs or whatever that you can find out there. The one thing that I'm looking to do, and I don't know, this will probably be my biggest stumbling block, is that I would love to convert the Hyborian Age, so Robert E. Howard's Hyborian Age to Shadow Dark, and publish something along those lines. And that's where it gets kind of like, where does it really stand? Because his literature is Robert E. Howard's literature is public domain.
Right.
However, once you put it into an RPG, that's where it gets kind of iffy, and or even if you just take his concepts or the map of the world, which should be, should be public domain. There's certainly images out there of it that are public domain. That's where it becomes kind of, well, for my home game, that'll be fine, but whether or not it could ever be published, I seriously doubt it. Let me
There's
get to some of the other.
actually,
Go ahead.
because I was going to say, I forget which company made it, but I remember backing it. Someone made it's a Hyborian Adventures book for Shadow Dark. That's like 5 of Robert short stories.
Chubby
Epic
Funster,
for
maybe?
the Shadow Dark.
Did Chubby do one? Because he's got.
He's done so many; it's hard to keep track.
Yeah. He's only
Well,
got
I
like
just got
500.
the email that his Shadow City just dropped the PDF, so
Oh,
I just
did it?
got that earlier. Yeah,
Oh, good. I haven't. I didn't get that email, so I got the. Oh, yep. In fact, I got it 7 minutes ago. Thanks for letting me know. Yeah, I was like, I know I was looking there for my other stuff to find out when but yeah, he did one. Well, and of course, you know that they've got what is it called? Shadow. What is it? Shadow Sun, I
he's
think,
got
is the
Shadow
one.
Sun, he's
Shadow
got
and Sun,
Shadow
yeah.
Rim,
Oh,
he did
Shadow.
Shadow City.
Yeah, Shadow City is actually a game
Yeah.
as opposed to Shadow Sun is basically Dark Sun. It's like a
Yeah.
Dark Sun brought to Shadowrun or to yeah, Shadow Dark. Sorry, Shadowrun. Too many shadows in my head.
And he's got all the stuff he's done for Axe as well. On top of that, and his own game that he made way back when.
Well, yeah, we had him on the show when he was
What's up,
launching
Mike?
Shadow City, and we talked about a lot of stuff besides that, because he told me, he's like, I started off, doing stuff for 5e or whatever, and it just didn't sell, and you know everybody seemed to really love the when Shadow Dark came out, and he's like, this is going to be the one for the OSR crowd, and that's also going to attract some of the new people, that's going to siphon the people off. And he saw it, and he's like, I'm going to start converting stuff that I was designing over to that, and make stuff for that, because it's and more power to him. I've got Shadow Dark up there. I have yet to run it. I've been invited to play in a game, which I didn't get in on early enough, but yeah, so I bought, Roll for Combat's new thing that they were coming out.
I mean, I'm definitely going to get the Deathbringer for Shadow Dark book by Professor Dungeon Master once that is actually out, because I actually have.
Then I'll convert it over to CNC.
I mean, that's kind of the beauty of it is, like, I remember when I was looking through the old Amazing Adventures monster book, because I had the idea of wanting to do Shadow Dark but supernatural, and you could easily convert almost anything for either Shadow Dark or vice versa to be playable.
Were you on that chat when I think he was on with Tenkar, or he might have been on with Don and some of them, and I started saying something to the effect of, yeah, okay, so why don't you take Shadow City then and expand upon it, because we know how great it's going to be, and add in stuff to support like Constantine and Supernatural and Buffy and all that that whole, fighting the monsters, and you're the good guy fighting the monsters now.
Yeah, well, it's funny because I'm pretty sure I was the original person that brought this idea up to begin with. Because I've been on other streams with Chubby talking about this. I had Chubby on my own channel talking about this, because we talked about Shadow City on my stream as well. And the thing I constantly brought up was talking about, because my idea was take Victor Gorchev's Blacklight for Shadow Dark that he's working on, and so once the vampires get out of control, switch to Blacklight and go hunt the vampires now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think either of us are alone in that thought, because we were doing that. I mean, we were basically doing the, Buffy, Constantine. I can't remember some of the other titles we tried to mix in there.
I mean, you want Constantine
with D20 Modern,
the wizard from Shadow Dark. There's Constantine right there for you.
Yeah, and I mentioned, speaking of wizards, I'm like, yes, modern day. How about Dresden? I would love
I know
to see
nothing about the
Dresden.
files.
Oh, that would be awesome, but I'm glad, but see, that's got everybody. It's his stuff has got everybody talking about it. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that's that's the great thing. Who's are we talking? The only thing we have to talk about Wizards of the Coast is did they shoot themselves in the foot yet again this week? You
Uh,
know,
With what?
to
everything. I mean, just in general. I mean, it's
Oh, in
like
general, I
Yeah.
don't like. There's, I mean, what else?
I mean,
There's nothing else
let's
that
be
they can
honest
really
here. If
do
they
that's going to make me be like, oh, I'm not buying their stuff anymore. I already stopped
Sure.
doing that, and there's probably very little they can do to make me, to make me start to buy their stuff again. I know I know they have a new vice president or director of D&D, right? And
you talking about Mr. Franchise Guy, or are you talking about somebody else now that
Yes.
replaced Williams?
some other
oh
Microsoft
no, no,
Because
some
junkie.
other no, I don't think he's a Microsoft guy. He's a gaming guy, like from computer gaming, yes, but IOTA or something like that.
but there's a somebody discovered there's now an actual person above them, like the vice president of Wizards of the Coast or something, that it's like, well, we didn't, because Cynthia Williams was the one that was the vice president who was talking about the monetization.
Yeah, but then
Then
the
they
AO guy left.
they
AO
got rid
left,
of
and the
her.
woman left.
Yep, that they got rid of
Jessica
her.
something left.
Well,
Kyle
yeah,
Brink left because he said white guys can't leave soon enough, and of course they showed him the door.
Yeah, there's
and yeah. And then this guy kind of the one I think you're talking about became like the was it vice president or director of franchising, and everything was moved into it. You know what I mean? It's like now everything is controlled by one person for D&D. All D&D is under this one guy.
yeah, but is Magic the Gathering under that one guy? I don't believe
No,
so. I think they
no,
separated.
no. That's
No.
D&D. That he's over D&D, and there's probably his counterpart that's over Magic. And
Right.
then,
So
but
they've separated those two. So there's no crossover between the two.
oh, I'm sure there will be, but that's going to
I
be
don't think there will
deliberate.
be, and the reason being is that would be stupid for
Has it not?
Hasbro to do,
I mean,
because
they had been trying, but see what was you had a lot of the left hand didn't know what the right hand was doing. Case example, 2 different VTTs in development at the same time. How does that
that's
happen?
crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
And one of them was a clear ripoff of Tailspire,
I don't
and the
even
other
use VTTs.
and the other one was, yeah. And I don't like the style of Tailspire, because it's like, if I wanted that look, I'd go buy or print minis. I mean, that's literally what they looked like, was minis in virtual form. It's like you're trying to like.
Well, I mean, it's invest several $100s in Dwarven Forge or pay $60 for Tailspire. So
Yeah.
Well,
I could see how they were trying to sell it.
Yeah. Well, I don't who know, but yeah, they weren't. But they remember Microsoft mentality. They wanted to make it a subscription.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, that's the
Everything's a
thing. I mean,
subscription now.
to be honest, if Wizards of the Coast wasn't the current publisher of D&D, would we ever even talk about them? That's really all it is now. Is we're kind of drama farming from them, because they're never going to do anything right. Like, something might happen, but people have been crying about it since 4E, and that was what, early 2000s.
Oh, I'm sure
It's been 2 decades. It might be time to move on.
I was gonna say, people complained about it, when 3rd edition came out, and
Sure.
when 2nd edition
They saw
came
Ascending
out.
Armor class, and it blew their minds. They're like, "This
yeah.
can't be. How dare the numbers go
How
the other
dare
way?
they flip
You've
him?
ruined the spirit of the game because you reversed armor class. Give me a break."
Yeah, we
Yeah.
we have the same thing in ham radio. Oh, this thing is ruining ham radio, and it's been around. Like, I've been a ham for 35 years. I heard the same crap about 35 years ago when I got into the hobby, and I'm still hearing it today. It's like,
Right.
no, the hobby will survive.
So back on the AI, I see there's some back and forth here.
Yeah.
Some good discussion
Again,
going on.
it's a. I don't see. Well, here's an interesting question. So, if all of the big corporations are going to be using AI for art and writing, what are the small creators going to do to compete against that?
Not use it?
Yeah.
Thrive?
Why would they have to? Yeah.
And yeah, so
like
you
we
think
were just talking about.
and then push that we have higher quality.
Well, they already do. I mean,
yes, I know. That's why I'm saying it's like, so their selling point has already been there, that they have higher quality writing for certain. And I like their art, better too, especially when they're, and even from the bigger companies like, Modifius and Free League are not small companies. They're big companies, but they use, legitimate art. So yeah, that's it remains to be seen what happens like 2-3 years down the road when when AI is fully embraced by the billion-dollar companies. And yeah, I know that there was and thanks for reminding us on that. But there was earlier this $1.5 billion settlement over AI and the use of it. Yeah, so that is a significant amount to deter even the large corporations from doing so. But and that was a settlement. So that doesn't mean that they can restructure a settlement. They accept that. But if they paid 1.5 billion, how much did they make?
Well, that's
my question.
That's also
how much they make.
It was pointed out on a couple of, I think, non-gaming related things that's like the largest settlement for a copyright claim.
Yes.
Ever. And I mean, I've heard I follow a bunch of lawyers too. I don't know why, but I've heard them talking about it. Steve Lato did a video about it. All these different YouTube, law tubers are talking about it because it's AI and it's a lot of money. Yeah.
So when I look at this, I think of what just happened with the video game hobby with the Hollow Knight game that just got released. It took its time to get out. It was made by a small group. It's only a $20 game. It's no AAA. It's no Skyrim. It's no Baldur's Gate. But yet it's now become like one of the most popular games of this year. And everyone's love it. Everyone's ranting and raving about Hollow Knight. So when I look at that, I think the TTRPG hobby, for those that can't compete too much with the bigger companies, may go the same route. I think they'll still use AI art because I have no issue against independent people like saving their pocketbooks by using AI art. I'm a big supporter of the Red Room. I've always been pro AI in AI art regard. I have no issues with it. I use it all the time for like creating characters and stuff. The Sunday game I'm in currently, the guy uses AR to help with like adventure ideas and stuff because we're playing a Black Hat game at the moment. So what I think is going to happen is they'll write the rules, they'll write the adventure, use AI art. They'll put it out for cheap so people can actually afford it. And the idea is it's no D&D, it's no Castles and Crusades, but you get your money's worth for it at least. You're not breaking your bank just to get another book.
Yeah. Yeah, I wish I could say that my employer would never use AI.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm currently waiting to be replaced by apparently robots at my work currently. So
I'm just waiting for
Well, yeah, like I said, like earlier on, like the education system now is starting to look at in both college and I'm sure it's going to bleed into, high school as well. My former career space was that, how are you going to counter students handing in papers that are AI generated? It's not
make them write it in class.
They have to do a 10-minute presentation.
No one knows how to write it anymore.
Not possible to do.
Why?
All right. As a classroom teacher, I can tell you, just impossible to do.
Boy.
Yeah.
You know, there's no time allotted for students writing in class. You know, even when anytime that they have to write an essay, all right, that time is going to be they're writing 2 or 3 essays over 6 hours of a testing framework. All right, and they can even go over on that. But they're writing 2 or 3 essays over 6 to 8 hours. I've never seen any Regents exam last longer than that, and it's just impossible to do that on a day-to-day classroom, 45-minute classroom period. You'll get nothing done. All right.
Well, I mean, maybe they could have like a proctored, like I know, like in
But
college, I
like I
had
said, that
a proctored room where there's it's open from such and such to such and such hours. Period. Are you talking about like in public school, like high school?
yeah, I'm talking about public school and high school. There's no way to do that. There is absolutely no way to do that. You cannot assign, hey, you're going to write a 5 to 7 page essay on this particular topic as your term project.
And no
All right.
citing Wikipedia either. That's not legit.
And the kid is going to go home and they're going to use AI, and it's not like you're able to type in, because this is how I used to find plagiarism, right? I would type in several sentences,
right,
and throw them in there and see what popped up, what article popped up, where they pulled it from. And now if they cited it, fine. But if they didn't cite it and it comes up as, you copied this entire paragraph whole cloth, then it's that's a plagiarism issue.
right.
That won't work with AI.
They have checkers for it though. I play with a guy that's a high school teacher, and he talks about that a lot. Like they have things they can feed papers through, and it will tell them whether
Yeah,
they
but
used
it can
AI.
only
It'll
give a
just say it's AI
probability.
generated. And yeah, if you know your students well enough, if you've
Yeah,
seen
you
their
can tell.
early writing and everything like that, yeah, you can tell you didn't write this. It's like,
Yeah,
I could always tell when it was like, I know your parent helped you with this,
right.
but that's not something that you can stop them from doing, and it's probably not a good idea for you to do it as a teacher. Like I said, it's like, I was happy that their parents were helping them. You know what I'm saying? It's like, because the kid is still getting more out of it, having their parent work with them than if they just didn't hand in the paper at all. So it's
I like the blind Bart's comment there about the last
yeah, let me
line.
get to it. So let's see. We just had one of our students use AI for an assignment, and we knew it because she left the telltale. Do you want to do X, Y, Z?
The prompt, yeah.
Yeah.
I
See, the thing is, they're not smart enough to use AI even when they do use it.
yeah. Maybe they need to bring back shop class, and while they're at it, driver's ed, because my kid took driver's ed online. I'm like, what?
Who use AI to grade their papers and check for plagiarism. I'm going to give you teachers don't read 100% of the papers anyway. They never do. There's no time. Again, there's no time.
They're scanning stuff.
Yeah, you scan it. You read the first paragraph, you read the conclusion, you kind of skim the in between, and then since everything is rated, at least in New York City, everything was rated on a 1, 2, 3, or 4 scale. All right, it was like you're really only disputing between what is a 2 or what is a 3. 4 jumped out at you and 1 jumped out at you. You knew right away. So everything became, is this a 2 or a 3? And you can basically get that just from gleaning through the paper, overall without having to read 100%. When you had it, one year I had, I want to say over 200 students, and when they wanted a paper written like every marking period, sometimes multiple papers written every marking period, it was like, all right, how am I supposed to grade 200? I think it was like 237 students. If I'm going back, almost a decade. but 237 papers. How am I supposed to read 237 3 to 5 page, essays, and have them read, graded, commented on, and handed out to the students in a 1 week time frame, a 1 week turnaround, before the next unit's paper is going to be due? It's like you gave a paper like almost monthly, so it was like you just don't have time to do that. So even sending it through, unless it's like a scanner kind of thing, then that's too hard to do. And that's only going to tell you if it believed it's AI generated.
Right. It's going to generate a probability. And they're seeing that now with some of the AI generated art, where there's groups that are zealously combating it, trying to combat it, out there, and they're going out and they're saying, "Oh, look at this AI art," and then it's that was made in 1986 by so and so.
Right.
There was no AI back then.
Yeah.
Um, so how do you tell the difference? And of course, as AI gets better, it's going to be able to emulate more and more art styles better and better, and it's going to blur the lines. Maybe it should be a requirement that AI embed some sort of watermarking
Yeah, that
throughout.
would be.
Until they steal their parents' credit card to remove it.
Yeah. That would at least make it clear, hey, this was AI generated, and then you can do, but the point is it's like.
I mean, that wouldn't work for paper, but that would certainly work for art.
It's going to be a lost. It's going to be a lost art. Writing is going to be a lost art. Just like it's like I forgot how to write in script, other than my signature. All right,
Really?
and even that's sloppy as hell, because in 1983. I got a Smith Corona typewriter that had a cartridge that you could save 8 pages worth of typing on. And it used to have an autocorrect ribbon and all this other kind of thing. And I started typing everything as a 8th grader, something like that. And I literally stopped writing in script for, I want to say, almost 12 years. And then when I was taking my teaching exams, I had to write a paragraph and then sign it. And the paragraph was like a disclaimer, like I attest that all of this and this content was, and so I printed it out and I signed it. And they returned the paper back to me and they said, no, you have to write it. And I was like, they're like, in script, you have to write this whole statement in script. And I'm sitting there trying to do it. I was like, I got to be honest with you. I have forgotten how to write in script. I have not written in script in almost 15, 12 or more years. And I just don't know how to make all of the letters anymore. It's like, and I was like, no, I'm going to just print it and sign it. And that's what you got, and they waived that paragraph for me, but I was like, it became a lost thing. I don't think my girls today do any kind of writing in script at all.
Well, I hate the electronic signature things. I make smiley faces on them. I'm like, this is not a legal signature, so I'm just gonna make smiley faces. If it's not on ink and paper, it ain't legal as far as I'm concerned. I don't care what anybody says.
Pandora's box is open. Yes, it is.
But
it is.
Don did have a good point about with the digital art. I think in the stream that him and on the Vlog of Many Things, and I think that they did last week. When somebody brings him one, he says, and says, "Oh yeah, no, this is not AI generated. Show me your layers," because anybody that does any graphic editing knows that even in the freebie one that I use, it's still I break things apart into layers and save it as layered. The images are in layers, and then I merge them together to send the final. When I'm creating the final image to upload, usually to one of the websites I run. So, so they should be able. It's kind of the show me your work principle.
Yeah.
Show me your work. And I think maybe that's the type of thing that you might have to do, is a show me your work and a show me your progress, show me your outline, show me,
I feel like I'm in elementary school again.
I hated doing all that stuff too.
It's weird.
Well, that's the thing, though. If the watermarks aren't going to be able to verify it, that's what you're going to have to do. If you're especially talking to a new artist that you want to work for or work with, rather, you're going to pay them. You're going to be like, well, this is the way it's going to work. You're going to show me the layers and prove to me that it's not AI art. Otherwise, we'll just part ways now and not waste our time.
So, yeah. And I thought that was excellent. And that works for, artwork type of stuff.
Yeah.
Writing stuff, man, show me your work might work in that.
That would have never got me with my papers when I was writing papers and everything when I was in college, because I never did drafts. I would sit down and spend the next 14 hours banging out a 35-page paper. You know what I'm saying? It was like no rough draft. I would just edit as I went, and there was never a draft. It was like bang, finished product. Took me 14 hours straight, but finished product kind of thing. And that's how I wrote virtually every paper I ever wrote, was done exactly that way. No rough drafts whatsoever. When even when I write now, it's like, as I'm going, I'm just like, if I'm writing an adventure, I am just putting in the components as I'm going along, and then I'll go back and insert new stuff. I might move stuff around here and there, but there's never, hey, this is the entire thing as a draft. You'll see those layers like you mentioned, right? And I'll be able to say, on this day, this is what I wrote. On this day, this is what I wrote. But it's never, it's never fully replacing something that was written previously, like a new draft kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's always just an add-on.
You're always saving new too, so you're overwriting your previous. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. It's like,
okay. So what if somebody comes up with maybe a specific word processor that had to be used, that did things like audit trails, kind of like we have in medical billing and pharmacy billing software. We have audit trails. Everything anybody does is logged, so we can always you can always figure it out. When you're going back, you can see who did what and what did where. And I could imagine the audit trail taking a snapshot of all the applications running on the system and every web page that's open. And unless they're going to be typing it in while they're looking at their tablet or their phone, and just different little things like that.
Yeah, I want to read the Blind Bard wrote here. I'm working with an artist right now, and he's helping me redo my logo. And he's only done it in pencil and ink so far, but already looks 1,000 times better than the one I made with Canva. That's awesome.
I just got artwork back from my buddy Patty's Parlor. I gave him because I'm redoing my Richard Dixie. I'm going to convert over to Shadow Dark, and I found some what's the word I'm looking for? We're just talking about it. The public domain artwork.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I found some old public domain artwork of Civil War, and I just took that and I just had him make it I just had him Shadow Darkify it basically, and it came out really good.
Yeah, I think I was thinking, you were talking about gangbusters.
Mhm.
I all that stuff should be public domain now too, right? All those photos from that era,
Well, yeah, it's 1920s.
1920. We're talking 100 years, right? And it's
Yeah, we're talking 100 years. So that's why I said, it was great to, to write an adventure for a historical adventure, because, there was free archival, images that were public domain, and I mean, you could do the same thing with, if you're doing like a medieval fantasy,
right.
you know, um,
I think
you know,
Pundit's done that, right?
well,
Pundit,
yeah,
yeah,
it's like, that kind of a presentation. You can certainly find art that is public domain.
right.
Mm.
And
I
then,
mean, it's in some cases it's several hundred years old, or 500 years
right,
old.
and then, like I said, when you're using like clip art, there's plenty of clip art out there that is, like I said, Pixel. I think it's called Pixel Bay. I haven't used it in years, or Pixie Bay.
Hmm.
And that has tons of, like, if you're doing historical stuff, like I said, the pirate ship stuff and all that kind of thing. I was like, oh, a treasure chest. I'm not going to pay somebody to, do a treasure chest for me. You can find plenty of free art, that is clip art that will fit that mold right together. Or you can get a picture, of a treasure chest from back in the day that is over 100 years old, and you'd have it there, and you
Right.
just use that imagery.
Yeah.
So there are ways that you can do it without using AI art. Certainly.
I mean,
Should.
okay, so here's the question now. What if you were to take one of those old pictures
Mhm.
and then feed that in and say, okay, make this, draw this. Where is the line? Is the line just no AI period across the board? If you were to
Yeah,
take
it's like, because I've seen some people say, well, I've drawn, like, this was originally drawn, and then it was colorized using AI,
right.
or it
And
was made a little bit crisper,
well,
because
and in a lot of those
some people are, I only do black and white art, but now I'm asking to do something in color, and so I can use AI to
to
enhance it
colorize it.
with
Yeah.
colorizing it. And is
But
that
now the
any
color artists are
longer
going to
original
complain.
art? You know, um, when I look at, like, when I look at people that are doing tattoos, right? So I was a big fan of Ink Master and watching that kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
some people are like, "Oh, I only do black and white. I don't do this type of art or whatever." And then they were forced to, and they're using stencils. They're basically producing a stencil or pulling a stencil off a search and everything, and yet they're applying it by hand,
Right.
but they're using a stencil. Is that,
Yeah, it's that whole gray area that
yeah, that's
you
a
know
gray area, right? And there you have it, where it's like, oh no, I'm using a stencil. It's almost like, does it take any talent to trace?
I can trace. I can't draw to save my soul, but I can
Right.
trace.
So it's like I'm sure some people can't even trace, right? They just don't have the dexterity, or
Yeah,
to
maybe.
actually trace well. you
Well,
know
and
um
Neon from Clownfish has said, he's talked about, you know, in the early days when the digital tablets and that started coming out for artists.
yeah,
There was a big core group of them that fought that too. They were like, "Oh, that's not real art. You're not doing real art. I don't
yeah,
care if if you don't actually have 200 different brushes out there sitting physically in your place, and you're not physically drawing it on paper and this and that and the other, then it's not art."
yeah.
Uh, where do you go? Where do you
I,
go?
Yeah, so
Mike Rahulik, you ever seen, like the guy, one of the guys from PAX that created Penny Arcade and created PAX, he uses digital tools to draw his stuff. He would do it for years. He did it at all the PAXs. Now I think he's only doing PAX West because he got tired of traveling. But he sits there and he draws while the guy who does the writing part
yeah,
sits there and read. And I'm just sitting there fascinated watching and listening, and I loved that part of PAX. Of course, they went a little on the woke side, but still okay. That was still fair to watch them, um where do you draw the line? Because that's exactly what Neon is talking about. That's
yeah,
what Neon does now. But then Neon turned around and I think he did a video and he showed a picture. Oh no, it was on X. Geeky, his wife, posted a picture that he had done when he was like in high school,
yeah,
and he's pretty close to our age. If it might be a little bit younger, I think, but still close to our. And we all know that we didn't have AI art and digital tools back then, so,
yeah,
but
yeah.
so clearly he could do it.
Yeah, I want to key in on one of these, one of these lines from Roger Mike. So artists will increasingly collaborate with AI. That to me, that one part of the sentence there, or that one sentence there, really, it's like it's almost like you're cooperatively working with AI.
Whether you
As
like
if
it or
AI
not.
is a physical entity, right? It's like
Yeah, because
go ahead,
I was
Hunter.
I was gonna say, yeah, because I see people talk about they draw something digitally, but then they'll touch up their stuff, their drawings
Yes.
with AI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that's the difference between using AI as a tool rather than just having AI do all the work just to be cheap.
Yeah, but you know what? That was the slippery slope that Wizards of the Coast was using, right? And then they were like, all right, no, we got caught. This was AI.
Sure. But then again, that's the thing. That's like it always ends up. What does your final outcome look like? And they didn't care that it looked like shit. That was obviously AI and got caught. It's like if you use it to say trace or shade something because you're not a good inker, you only know how to do like penciling or coloring or whatever aspect of the process. Then it's a tool. But if you just go, give me this push button, that's my art I make. And then it's like.
You comic book guys, that the inkers are different than the guys. So it's a whole. It's like, well, yeah, these guys can draw their line art drawings, but what about the guys that do the inking? That's an art form.
Sometimes you have
and you can definitely tell
and shaders, right? So sometimes you had three.
And you could definitely tell who's a bad inker. Especially when you see like the original line art compared to it inked, you can see like some people just ruined something, and it's like, oh, but they went with it anyway. So
yeah. I remember when when I was in art school and digital photography was starting, the film photographers poo the digital pics. New tools are always coming out. Well, yeah, I mean it's like I said, there's no turning back the clock, right? The bell has rung. You cannot unring the bell.
Have you been to Walmart lately?
Yeah.
They sell film again at Walmart.
Yeah. Well, and look at the aspect too of like say pre-CGI with like puppetry and claymation as compared to CGI. There is decent CGI, but there's never been like CGI where you're like, oh wow, I prefer that to John Carpenter's The Thing or anything that's used practical effects.
Practical always beats CGI.
Yeah.
Well, the problem is, and it's a lot like with AI art, you could always tell by the lighting. The lighting hits something wrong, and it's just right away your brain's like, nope.
Uncanny Valley. It's like the Uncanny Valley thing. Yeah.
Or Six Fingers usually throws it off too.
Yeah,
they're starting to fix that though. That's the problem. They've gotten better on that.
They just fix it like Rob Liefeld. They just hide the hands and feet.
Yeah.
I miss the days when CGI was like what you had in Dragonlance on the Twilight, where you had the cartoon and there was the crappy CGI dragons flying in the background that they had the fight. I miss that time of CGI because
Have you
even
watched
though it was
Babylon
bad, it was
5?
still good.
Yeah, you watch that.
Surprisingly, no, I've never seen Babylon 5, but I've heard a lot about it.
It's good.
Yeah. I'm
CG's
gonna.
dated, but it's a good show.
I'm on. Oh yeah, it's a great show. Great
I have a
writing.
list of old school 80s movies and television shows I have to watch through because everyone constantly makes fun of me because I'm making me for it.
Well, I was 21 when it came out, and I moved from Orlando to Vegas at 21 years old, and so the last thing I was doing was watching TV. I was out every night in the casinos and hanging out and doing stuff like that. So
It's weird because I don't watch that much TV anymore. I listen to podcasts more than anything. But now because everyone's like, "Oh, you need to watch like this '80s movie. You need to watch that '80s show." So now I'm like going through my Tubi now, being like, "Oh, okay, there's the one I need to watch. Oh, there's the other one I need to watch." Because while I've seen Clint Eastwood movies, I've never seen Clint Eastwood's Western movies. So I
Yeah.
got all those now
Oh.
saved on my Tubi list. So
you've seen his
The
Dirty
ones-
Harry, but not the
Yeah.
no,
Not
my
the
very first
trilogy.
time I ever saw an Eastwood movie was Gran Torino.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Wow,
I don't think I've even seen that one.
Interesting start, but yeah.
Yeah.
I was raised in a very
that was
strong
probably the
conservative
last one he
Christian
made,
household.
right? It's probably the last
Yeah.
one.
I was gonna say that's the last one. That's the most recent, right? So
Yeah.
But I mean
Which
the
was still
CGI,
probably about 10 years ago, but it's still the last one he probably made.
but CGI, it's the same argument, with CGI versus practical. I prefer practical. I would
Yeah.
much rather, but I understand that especially a first season show doesn't have the
Well, it
budget.
came down to money. That
Yeah.
was the thing. They didn't have the budget that Star Trek had. Star Trek was using, had
And-
much better CGI, had miniatures, and
Yeah. I mean, DS9 is usually what people like to compare it to, and there's a whole. I won't even get into that whole argument. Trust me, we do that on our show every Wednesday. But I mean, like that was the problem with the prequels for Star Wars. Was
Yeah.
the CGI. That was my biggest gripe about it.
Yeah.
they're pretty ugly. If you
I
look at
can't
them now.
complain about Star Wars. The very first time I ever saw Star Wars was actually, it was the same day I saw the very first Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movie. Right after that, we went and saw episode 2, Attack of the Clones with my dad.
Yeah.
The first time I ever saw Star Wars, and I loved it. With the
Right.
exception of course,
Yeah.
one, of course, complete crap. I agree. But episodes 2 and 3 were best of the prequel trilogy, in my opinion.
Yeah, you could be king of the turds. It's allowed.
Of the prequels. Of the prequels,
I know, I'm the filthy
maybe.
millennial.
Of the
No, I know.
prequels,
There are
they
people
were
that love the prequels, but the supposition that like, well, the prequels are good now that the sequels came out and they're even bigger shit than the prequels is like, I guess. I mean,
Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's only 6 movies. I don't know about these other like 4 or 5 movies that apparently people talk about. So
Rogue One. Rogue
Three.
One is
Rogue
good.
One was good.
it's
Rogue
three
One
movies.
is good.
Yeah.
Rogue
was
One.
good.
Rogue One could use a little bit of editing. It could get rid of the member
Yeah.
berries, and I think it'd be better. It
Yeah,
didn't
but-
need C-3PO being like, "We're going to Scarif," and I was like, "Why is he here? Why is the guy from the cantina on the planet that just got blown
but
up? How
Rogue
did he
One,
survive?"
The main characters were fine in Rogue One. I had no problem with them. When they started crossing the
It's
I
the
only
only-
seen that movie like once, and I was like, it's not bad.
It's
You know,
the only Disney the only Disney Star Wars that actually was good. The only Disney
Andor,
Star
the
Wars
TV
movie.
show.
No,
The TV show Andor
I-
blows it
Yeah,
away.
Andor's good. Andor's
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah, I like the prequels. Not the second one. The second one,
Annie. Oh, Padme. Oh, Annie.
Yeah.
Attack of the Clones, yeah, the very first one I watched.
Yeah.
I like
I
Obi-Wan
just
doing the
thought that
investigation. I
the only
thought that
thing I
was
didn't
cool.
like about it was that Anakin's turn to the dark side was too fast.
Well,
That
if you want to go down the Star Wars, my
Yeah.
niece actually sent me a message yesterday asking me what order her boyfriend should watch them in because apparently he's never seen them. And I said, "Well, that's a big debate right there, and ask which order because trust me, I have friends that will
And,
vehemently disagree with me."
And to be
But-
technical about that, Bloodworth, his Anakin says the dark side wasn't that fast if you count Clone Wars as part of the series.
That's where I
Yeah,
was
but-
going.
but-
That's where I was going, Ultra.
Yeah.
Because I said, well, so if you want the story in the actual order, then you would start with episode 1 and then 2, and then and if you're including the cartoons as part of
Well, yeah, the cartoons
Then you
were
would
actually
watch-
better than the movies.
then you would
Yes,
watch the Clone Wars series,
Yes.
then episode 3, then you would include Star Wars Rebels, and then Rogue One, and then Episode 4, and then 5, and then 6, and I stopped right there, and I didn't mention 7, 8, or 9 because those don't exist. But
instead you go to the library and you get the books where not Padme, Princess Leia and Han had their 3 kids, and they learn to become Jedi. You get those books and read from there.
Yeah, we'll read the Heir to the Empire trilogy.
I have not read those.
Watch
My wife
Star Wars, no 4, 5, or 6, none of this nonsense. Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, and then the Thrawn trilogy, and then you're done. You're pretty much, you could put a pin in it.
Yeah, no, like I said, I like the prequel. I like the political intrigue. I like the writing. I think the problem is nobody said no to George at that point.
There was political intrigue in it. I just was there for the action, the lightsabers and the blasters. That was mine.
Yeah, but you were what 5, 6 when it came out?
I think I was like 11 or 12 when 2 came out, and I think I didn't watch 3 until I was like in high school. I think
I actually saw it. I actually saw Star Wars in theaters.
Well, no, I was in high school because I remember when the video game came out for Episode 3.
Yeah. But I think that's why when they did do some of the other ones like Rogue One, they did do a lot of practical effects, and that's true with a lot of things.
Almost all practical effects, mostly.
Now, if they just had somebody who could write, for the latter 3 that don't count, they're not canon. But I mean, practical beats CGI. CGI is good for maybe background stuff, and I could see that, for even AI. Okay, maybe AI could be used for some of that background stuff, but your main art needs to be, real. And
you get back to you have your original art enhanced by AI to clean it up and to.
Or maybe to fix lighting and angles or whatever.
Colorize it in certain ways, like
take this character and put it in this, where you're taking it. I want this character placed in this landscape picture or something like that.
Again, to use yet another analogy, I mean, the toothpaste is out of the tube, and you can cram some of it back in there, but you're not going to get it anywhere as near to having it all back in there. It's just not going to happen.
Bring back horses and so that the guys that make the buggy whips can have jobs again.
Yeah.
Right.
So
I think it'll come down to the consumers, I think, really.
I do give the publishers that will clearly mark no AI art used. I give them a lot of credit for doing so. And I will certainly use that as one of my deciding factors if I'm going to buy something or not. Is like, hey, if you're using just AI free art and writing, then I'm more likely to buy that than to buy something that is using potentially AI art and writing. So especially not art writing.
Maybe there should be an independent group that can give like the seal of this is certified AI free. Using,
I think you can trust. I think you can trust the ones that are doing that themselves. Like I get a lot of Throw Eye games. Like that's Tom Wilson that does a lot of Shadow Dark stuff and everything. I have several of his adventures, and he was the first one that I saw that actually puts that stamp there. I'm almost certain that. I don't know if Don is still here, but Wizard Tower Games has come out and said we will not use AI art.
And he had a lot to say in the he was
going. Has said we will not use AI, art or writing or anything like that. So more and more companies are going to differentiate themselves. Publishers are going to differentiate themselves by saying we don't use it. All right, and I think that's a good thing. What happened at what was it? Origins, they shut down a whole
Dragon Con.
It was like Dragon Con or something.
Dragon Con.
That's a huge event.
because he was selling AI art with probably not, declaring that it was AI art, or
But the problem is that their policy wasn't clear that
yeah,
was prohibited.
Right.
So you now have a vendor who paid money clearly for their booth and had to travel to Atlanta to go
mhm,
to this huge con, because it's like a 4 or 5 day event. I mean,
yeah,
it runs all Labor Day week,
mhm,
that weekend. It runs even into Monday. It ends on Labor Day Monday.
yeah,
And there's costs involved and all that
yeah, yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
There's going to be a lawsuit on that. I can guarantee. I don't care. And then they were like, they allowed people in the crowd to publicly try to and shame them and embarrass them, putting signage and stuff like that out. And all because somebody suspected that they were doing it. Nobody, they didn't even, I don't even know if it was ever proven that they actually, they probably were, but if you have a clear policy and whatnot, they had, I mean, imagine the embarrassment and stuff like that. Oh, there's going to be a big lawsuit from them
yeah. There
suing
might be.
the Dragon Con people,
Yeah,
going, because they had Metro PD there. They had called Atlanta PD to have them pack up their stuff and get out.
yeah.
And that's, can you imagine that? Because you were doing something that somebody else didn't like. You got to look at it,
Well,
and it was not a written policy. Now, I'm
yeah,
sure next year it's going to be a written policy,
yeah.
and I'm sure a lot of cons are going to have that. Some, I think, already did,
Right.
but
Well, that goes back to our original topic, right? Where we were talking about some conventions were really put like you must use,
right,
you must use X cards at your table.
yeah,
Otherwise, we will
Yeah.
shut you down. If you're there for the entire weekend and you're running 6 or 7 sessions over the span of an entire, 3.5 day convention, we're going to shut it all down.
yeah. Well,
And
and I want to know who those conventions are that require them, so I can put them on my do not go to list.
well, like I said, it was Gen Con. It was Gen Con in
In
20.
16, 17,
Uh,
2020.
no, I think it was a little bit later, but it was because the real X cards and all that stuff really didn't start blowing up until like maybe 2018, 19.
Yeah,
So it was around then, 2018, 19. Then obviously, then the following 2 years there was no conventions. Yeah, I don't know if that'll be something. Let me look. Let me see. TTRPG conventions that require safety tool use.
yeah.
It's going to be AI.
As far as entire conventions, I'm not sure there really are any. It's usually like organized play events. I remember there was like indie RPG developers, like a big conference at Gen Con that would use it. I'm
All right,
sure
so
all
here's
the D&D that
3.
would.
So RPG Alliance Con, Breakout Con, and TTRPG Pickup Con all require the use of safety tools, whereas other conventions just strongly recommend. So RPG Alliance is Calgary, Canada.
Of course, it's in Canada.
A grassroots TTRPG convention founded on the principles of inclusivity. The use of safety tools like the X card is a core part of its mission and explicitly stated in its materials. Breakout Con is Toronto, Canada, and Pickup Con is online.
Okay.
During registration, participants
not a
are
convention.
asked to fill out a
Yeah.
lines and veils form. All attendees agree to play safely and with the health of my fellow players in mind as part of their registration process. 1D4 Con online convention provides extensive resources on safety tools Midwest Game Fest, Independence, Missouri. Convention's website has a detailed safety tools page explaining lines and veils, which are fundamental to the events.
I don't even know. I still haven't figured out what lines and veils are yet.
It's
And I
I can
watched
explain it.
I watched Atten's whole
Lines and
video.
veils. So I'll read it to you. So lines and veils, because they give us a little description,
Yeah.
is players communicate their boundaries before the game starts. Lines are typically that are completely off limits, while veils are topics that are okay to include but should not be described in graphic or explicit detail.
How about you don't play? Go find another table.
Yeah, none of these are ever.
Go find another table that's willing to
None of
cater
these
to you.
are ever GM focused. So like they never give. They never say, this is the X card for a game master to use at his or her table.
Right.
All right. Where if a player comes with this, you can flash the X card. Like if someone ever came to my table with a consent checklist,
Mm-hmm.
all right, denied. You were outright denied. I
Right.
will. Yeah, that's where I would say, nope, I'm using my GM's X card. All right, not allowed at my table. All right, because you're not going to come to me and dictate what I am doing at my table. You're going to come to my table and you're going to find out, is my table a good fit for you?
Here's a maybe it would be better off to if some of these cons that are okay with this whole X card and safety tool garbage, maybe they could include a little symbol next to the the ones that use them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like a warning. It's like a warning label. Warning.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Warning: these people use them, because I would avoid any of them. I would never sign up to a table that used them. I would never want to play with.
Just put a pacifier right there. That's the standard. There's a pacifier, then you can be a fucking crybaby all you want.
A pacifier in a wheelchair, basically. It's like it's a. Again, I mean, there were conventions that did at least say, this is our masking policy. Immediately following, the 2-year shutdown. No, some of us are still. I know a lot of people are like, I'm not going there.
Yeah,
I'm not going there if I have to. I can't imagine. Like, I was in the school system during COVID. My school did not close. It was open for for special ed kids and that kind of thing. And I was glad that I was, not in the classroom where I'd be wearing a mask for 6 hours a day. I was like, oh, thank God I'm in my union office, basically, so I can close my door and take off my mask. And while I was working in my office, I didn't have to wear a mask. And then the only time I had to put it on was when I was walking the halls during passing time and just checking in on teachers, or walking over to the principal's office. And then once in the principal's office, we used to take the masks off in the principal's office because it was just the two of us, But if I had to wear that at a convention and I'm running, 2 games in a row where I'm sitting there for the next 6 hours talking as much as we talk when we're running a game, there's no way I could wear a mask that long.
Yeah. I wouldn't. Fortunately, for where I live, the only time I ever wore a mask, well, I had a gaiter, but whatever. The only time I ever wore it was when I went to the doctor's office.
Yeah.
Nobody else. Nowhere else did I ever wear it. Neither did anybody else. So,
yeah.
And the doctor, of course, it's part of a hospital network. So of course, the hospital sets policy for their doctors, but
made for a very interesting Gen Con 2021. I think that was the first one when it came back, where it was like a quarter of the attendance, and then they had the tables spread really far out and everybody had to be masked. and it makes role playing extremely difficult because you're pretty much wearing a muzzle and you can't read facial expressions.
Right.
So it's just like, all right, how
It'd
are
be
we
like playing
role-playing
poker
characters
behind a, you know.
with like
Yeah.
a burqa on, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, some people do play poker wearing a mask. There was the one guy, I forget, he was on the poker tournaments and everything, like the world tournaments, and
They let him?
one time he was wearing a Darth Vader mask, you know, the whole time and everything like that. You know,
World Series of Poker, it's like you could cover 2 out of 3 things. You could have like your eyes, neck, and your mouth. You can only have 2 out of the 3 covered at any time.
So you could sit there wearing bandana.
Yeah.
Look like a bank robber.
Look like a bank robber.
Yeah.
I was
So
gonna
anyway,
say.
so hey guys, great discussion. I'm glad that we kind of came right back to the original topic again.
Eventually.
So we finished up. We started with safety tools, and we ended up, you know, to a certain extent with safety tools and such. I really like that idea. You know, they should say we require safety tools, and there should be. You know, it's funny that they're all in Canada, or you know.
Oh yeah.
You know, pretty much the Canadian ones.
Or at least, you know, that when you sign up, maybe to what is it, tabletop events, I think, or Eventbrite, or whoever that does those. You know, when people create their tables, that would be a checkbox. I use safety tools, or I do not use safety tools. You know,
because they do have a checkbox that says if you're going to include like pre-gen characters or whatnot. You know, what do they need to bring? Maybe that's why they don't do that, because that would be a very simple thing to do, and they probably would realize very fast that people are avoiding signing up for games that require safety tools.
I would not go to one. As the minute I would quit.
That's why they won't do that.
I distinctly remember, I forget which convention it was, but my brother and I, we'd always download the events as a spreadsheet, and we would go through the
research them,
the notes section where it says what the game's about, and we'd look up mask. And people, if it says the GM prefers players wear masks, get them all out of here. We just skip all of them.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's sad. It's just like I'm having to do with my player. You know, with trying to recruit players. You know, I want to look at I want to see what their post profiles are, you know, make sure that they've got a history and kind of get an idea of where they fit, you know, like gatekeeping isn't, I'm not talking about gatekeeping like preventing people from going to a con. I'm talking about
we're not sending people to camps here. It's just who we want to share a table with, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
So
some people will wear them for life.
Oh yeah.
I still see
oh yeah.
When I went to the Hamfest in Huntsville, there was still people there wearing masks, and you know,
I love when you see them wearing a mask in the car by themselves.
Me too. I make fun of them. I point them out and start going like this. You know, I'm calling them out. I'm like, "You're by yourself wearing a mask." Okay, you're the. I saw one that had gloves on and a mask. I'm like, really driving with dishwasher gloves? You know, like the old blue rubber ones that come up to here, you know,
like he's walking the cursed earth in Judge Dredd or something.
Yeah,
like, dude,
and
I'm like, need a rad counter for your water.
I could understand if you're like legitimately sick and you just have you know, like an autoimmune disease and everything, but those masks aren't going to do crap for you.
No, if anything, they're most likely gonna only help you if you are infected from maybe passing it on. It's gonna reduce your ability to pass it on, not the other way around. It's not gonna keep you from getting nothing.
It's not protecting you.
No.
But anyway, all right, guys. Thanks a lot for joining in. Great conversation. I know we could probably spend hours upon hours.
Oh yeah, we could keep going. I'm sure.
Separately. Thank you, everybody in the comments section for, you know, especially like people like Don, who does. I mean, he is a publisher, so. And he's got.
And
I knew it would be a controversial issue with, you know, people having different views on it. I think it's still kind of a little too new to really have a great idea of where it's going to go. We're just wrapping up RPG Grandma. So we were talking about safety tools, and we were talking about
AI.
AI. So AI art in particular, but also AI writing. I think that that's still something that we're going to, have to wait and see where it goes. But yeah, so virtually every Sunday I'm looking to, do some kind of a stream. So if anybody has any ideas, like I said, I was like this last like Tuesday or Wednesday, I was like, listen, I'm not sure what I'm actually going to do this upcoming weekend, and I still didn't have a thing until the last minute, and then I was like, all right, I'm going to talk about these two semi-controversial or reoccurring controversies in the tabletop role playing, and if you want more of this kind of stuff, give me some ideas of things you want me to look into, or if you were the next one, I'm going to probably ask Tom Wilson, because we'll be 2 weeks out from his convention. Probably ask Tom to come back on again and see what everything's looking like for ShireCon. So ShireCon will be September 26th and 27th. Really looking forward to doing that. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining. You will have a great one, and have a great coming week. Take care. Have you done a stream on online last week? I did that last week with RPG Grandma. So we were talking a little bit about, now she's doing a lot of videos and breaking it down, like the history of. So definitely look up RPG Grandma for all that stuff. She is doing a nice walkthrough.
Yeah.
Thank you, Blind Bard. And yes, good. Looking forward to you next week. Yes, I'm looking forward to having you here, and anything you want to bring, because you're a big convention goer now, and you're talking, on all kinds of streams and everything about conventions, and love to hear your take on your next upcoming convention as well. So see you then next week, and everyone else have a great one, and take